Well, there goes the Daverhood. Welcome, everybody. Oh, there goes. It automatically brings up Facebook, and it automatically makes me verbal. There we go. Shut up, Dave. But no, Dave is here.
That's called your echo. Remember the show Echo? We saw.
Remember the show Echo that we saw?
That's your echo.
That's your echo. That's your echo. Did you do that as a child? Did you annoy people by saying, just what they were saying, like after they were saying it?
No, of course they always
No,
did
of course
that.
I.
Children, do that because children have no other hobbies.
They have no boundaries, no filters, no intelligence. Anywho, I'm Dave Lefkowitz, and this program is called Dave's Gone By. What?
I like your pink 11. That's pretty.
She likes my pink 11. See, there I am. I hope I'm coming to you. I think we're all set.
Handsome. Look at your collar up, David. You look Rico Suave.
Yeah, I should do this more often. It's like that private eye.
Yeah, it's like Miami Vice, but no drugs or cocaine.
I kind of feel like a private dick. Most people say I'm kind of a public dick. But anyway, I'm Dave Lefkowitz.
You're not, no.
The name of the program, as I said, thank you, Dave's Gone By, is our 811th episode, thank you, dear, of the program. That is my darling and adorable wife joining us with sound effects, joining us with keeping the Facebook feed going and doing...
Wi-Fi's great. My Wi-Fi's...
Oh, really? Well, actually, I'm on a weird Wi-Fi. It's on some other...
Okay.
You might want to go on the other one.
Okay,
You should go on one, and I'm good. You're good. Excellent. Anyway, so here's what the show is about. The show is
about 7 hours long.
It's not random, but there's also a certain amount of serendipity in it. It's a mix of humor and talk and interviews and goofy stuff and... I have an okay tone if I do a little bit of whistling, and especially if I close this nostril just a bit, because I've got, I was born with a deviated septum and cleft palate and all that. So whistling, not exactly my forte.
You whistle from your hiney. No, you whistle from your hiney.
that's more of a brass instrument that comes from my hiney, dear. But I can, I have a nice, pretty nice tone, but I can't sustain it. I can't do a whole song But it actually sounds not too bad, and I can hold this sort of open nose closed. Are you having breakfast while watching this? And go.
Mr. Peabody.
But someone who knows quite a lot and quite a lot more about whistling. In fact, he has been whistling competitively for probably 30 or 40 years. Is our friend of the Daverhood, Steve the Whistler Herbst. Steve was on the program many years ago. He was one of our earliest guests, like in our second or third year of Dave's Gone By. When we were on terrestrial radio, we were an hour long, and we weren't even having many guests. It wasn't our thing. But he came down to the studios at WGBB. We had a lot of fun with him. He was a good sport. We made him whistle along to Led Zeppelin, which is, I thought was very, very cool. That is not Steve the Whistler Herbst in the background. That's Joyce, the sexy, hot wife whistler of Dave. Let me hear you. It's like a tea kettle in pain, ladies and gentlemen. It does. So Steve was on our show again a few months ago because,
Can we get a skunk for a pet?
Joyce is just scrolling through Facebook and looking at things, and it's like, can we get a skunk for it? No! I think they deodorize skunks, but it would still be burnt. Well, they do, don't they?
What do they do? They have odor in their body.
No, but I meant, the thing that they go and really stinks and smells horrible. And I mean, worse than me after a workout. But, not that I ever work out. But, no, I think they can do that. Like, for pet skunks, they'll take out the odor sac, and you can have it. But they still have claws, and there's still, rats.
Call them skunky.
Skunky. Aren't skunkies those things you put in your hair? Wow,
That's
just
skungy.
death. That was
Skungy.
just death after that joke. Yeah, skungy. Wait. Isn't skungy those things you eat in an Italian restaurant with marinara and... Well, I guess it's kind of chilly when you have fat
Oh,
that sits out in cold
Honey,
weather.
your guest in the waiting room. I hope somebody's in the waiting
You
room.
started it. Anywho, so Steve the Whistler was on this program not that long ago. A couple of reasons. First of all, he stayed a friend of the Daverhood, and we keep tabs on our
Did he
friends.
host Jeopardy?
No, he did not host Jeopardy. He just but Steve was on a television game show, a network TV game show, which, of course, our timing, magnificent as it always is, when we had him on a couple of months ago, he couldn't talk about it. He could talk about his career again and what he'd been doing in the 15 or so years since he was on our program last, and that was a lot of fun. And I think he stayed on to play the Today Yesterday trivia game, which he will again. But he couldn't say, it was like, I'm going to be on big news. It involves television. I'm like, what? He's like, I can't say. What? He can't say. Well, now he can say, because it happened about a month ago. He was on network television. He was on a game show. And it wasn't Jeopardy. No, he was on. Who knew? Did you even know that they brought back To Tell the Truth?
No. Is that on TV?
Yeah, and probably it's a syndicated cable thing, but they brought back that old show, To Tell the Truth, where you've got two, I think it used to be three contestants, but it might have been, at least now it's two. And they bring on these
David,
people. Yeah.
George Clinton and P-Funk are coming to Queens.
Do you want to
New
go?
York City. I
When
don't
is,
know where he's coming to in Queens.
Joyce is saying that George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic are going to be doing a gig, a concert, which is, that's
And
pretty.
There's a rapper called Too Short.
I thought I was the rapper Too Short.
No, you're the rapper Too Little.
Okay. Thank you very much. Too little and too late. That's my story. So anyway, Steve was on this reiteration, this new version of To Tell the Truth. That old show where you have two contestants and three panelists.
Oh, Forest Hill Stadium. Wow.
Oh, cool. Well, it's open air for sure. It won't be distance, but I don't know. I don't know what the protocols will be.
P-Funk's going to turn the White House Delta.
turn
the stadium Delta.
Forest Hill Stadium is pretty white usually, so we'll see what he does with that.
He's going to make it Delta.
So two contestants. In three panelists, two contestants, and the contestants try and fool the panelists. The idea is one of them is what he says he is, and the other is completely not.
Wasn't Leslie on that?
Leslie, yes.
Well, you have two people on your show who are on the same show but different times.
And go figure.
Different
Ironically, unfortunately, Leslie Hoban Blake, who is one of our usual
Didn't
panelists.
she win? She won not this time, but the time before.
Right, yeah, well, before David Sheward came back, she won.
Yeah.
Well,
how much do you think she went online and altered his hotel reservations? Airbnb, move out, get out.
But Joyce brings up our regular panelist on our quiz show, our part of the program that involves a quiz, called Today Yesterday. Well, you're right. It would be fantastic if Leslie and Steve Herbst could talk about being on two different versions of To Tell the Truth. But again, my life, my timing. Unfortunately, Leslie will not be on the program today. Leslie, she's been open about this. She's been undergoing some health stuff. She is in the middle of radiation treatments. Some weeks are great, some weeks not so great.
But you can ask her next week, or she could comment on the,
Yeah.
I'd be curious to see, like, with different hosts and how they prep the contestants and such.
Yeah. Well, from what I've seen, it's also a very different show. It's much more a comedy kind of. It's sort of that post In Living Color, black hosts jive blacking with each other. And I know I just lost 20 viewers right there, but it's true. It's there. I think one of the guys was on In Living Color, so I don't know their names. Or he's a Hughley, I think, like D.L. Hughley or.
Ask Steven.
Yeah, I will. He would know. But anyway, so they have Steve on and this other guy, and one of them says, I'm a professional, or I'm sorry, I am a world champion competitive whistler. And now they have to fool the panelists to, which of them is telling the truth.
Whistling badly so that they don't,
Well, I mean, for you, when I used to watch the show in the old days, there'd be things. They'd both be really good, or the one who was true was purposely fumfering the answers, or, because you're trying to fool the panelists, except the rule is the person, you have to tell the truth if you are the right person.
Yes.
So in other words, if you are the actual whistler and they ask you a question, you can't lie.
Oh, you can't fake it?
You can fumfer the answer, but you can play with it, but you can't tell a lie if you're the person they're trying to figure out. The other person can lie through his teeth.
No, but like if they say whistle, does Steve have to whistle the normal way he does?
I don't think you can ask them to do something. You have to ask them
dance or something.
questions.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's how you try and the panelists try to win and trip them up, and that's how the contestants try and so someone who's faking it probably studies a bit about. We'll ask Steve how that actually works, because I don't know.
Like, does he know what the other contestants are going to say?
I doubt that.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's the point. We're going to have a little time
Be a good faker.
with Steve the Whistler Herbst, who will be talking about his appearance on To Tell the Truth just a couple of weeks. Like, it was actually taped a few months ago. He couldn't talk about it until they aired it in the middle of July. It's on his Vimeo page if you want to go watch it. In fact, I was just messaging him this morning.
Breaking news, there's an aggressive squirrel in Prospect Park, and it says at least 5 people were attacked.
What? Is that for real?
Yeah.
What channel is that?
I'm going to look.
Okay, apparently. Now, folks, if you live in New York, you're going to want to bar your windows. You want to set your burglar alarms on its highest.
Here we go, David.
Yeah, read it, yeah.
A violent squirrel has attacked people at a Brooklyn park. Is likely dead by now if he had rabies. And then they said she was walking to the park with her parents when the squirrel jumped on her.
Wow. She was walking through the park one day.
And it says the man was also bitten by a squirrel while feeding it. Yeah.
Same squirrel?
Yes, apparently.
A guy was bitten while feeding a rabid, crazy, violent squirrel.
You shouldn't do that.
No, you should not.
Okay, good.
Okay. What a day. What a life we live in. Anywho, Steve the Whistler's on. Yay. He will be playing against David Sheward.
He's the reigning champion.
Once we've talked with Steve about...
call him the Shoemaker?
The Shoemaker. I like that. It's a shame he isn't a fighter. We can call him like Shoebox. David Sheward, former president of the Drama Desk and former managing editor of Backstage Magazine. He's still a theater critic. He is a blogger now. So he is a formidable, sneeze coming on. Pardon me. Formidable contestant he's, I would say, about 70 to 80% of the time when he plays our Today Yesterday quiz, David Sheward wins it, but not always. He has been vulnerable at times.
I think he stoops to conquer. He sometimes lets people win.
No, I do not. He's a sweetie. I love him, but I think he has a competitive edge. Yeah, he wants to.
If there were an Olympics for like game shows, he would be in it.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We should ask him if he's ever tried to get on.
He should do Jeopardy. He'd make money.
I think he would do very well.
But I've had friends who test for it. So you go through a bunch. Maybe it's online now. It used to be on the telephone.
Yeah.
And you get through several rounds of like testing, and then eventually, if you pass all those rounds, they bring you on. But it's really brutal. Like you have to be super
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But he would be. He would be a good candidate for, or that millionaire one. He probably could walk away with about 30 grand. It might be. So anyway, David Sheward and actress and playwright Vicki Quade will be here to play the Today Yesterday trivia quiz opposite Steve the Whistler Herbst. So they're all going to go, that should be a lot of fun. It's become like our most popular segment of this. Not me talking, not the Colorado Limerick, not Greeley crime. No, No.
I think it's just become the longest segment.
Yeah, so it's supposed to go for about 40 minutes.
By saying it's the most popular, I also think it's the time of it as well.
People wake up late, they tune in, we're already in the game, they go have lunch, they go for a swim, they have a deal to discuss, they go get their teeth cleaned.
I did my taxes one time during the game waiting.
They come back and we're still on question 7, so... Yeah. But it's a lot of fun. It's...
You can get your colonoscopy done while waiting.
Yeah, 10 trivia questions as part of our Today Yesterday Trivia Quiz. That will be happening. We will bring back Inside Broadway this week. We haven't done that in a few weeks, but bring it back because Broadway seems to be ramping up for the fall. And I'm a theater critic, I'm a playwright, I'm an actor, so I care about the theater, love the theater. So I like to do a little segment whenever I can that just lets you know, hey, here's what's happening. This is going to be on Broadway or off Broadway. This was announced this week. Or we've lost, some important people in the Broadway world, in theater. You should know who they were. So it's not a lengthy segment, and it's not really a comedy segment, but it is a cultural segment called Inside Broadway, and we will bring it back on this episode of the program. As I mentioned, we will also have Greeley Crimes and Old Times. This is where we go to Greeley, Colorado for 2 items that come out of the Greeley Tribune newspaper. One having to do with actual phone calls that come into the Greeley Police Department, and it's public record, but the funniest ones are... What happened?
We don't have the phone call.
I thought I took it. It's... Look on there. Is the...
No, but the dingling.
Oh, I beg your pardon? Here. Yeah. Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Plus, they go through the newspapers, the people at the Greeley Tribune go through the newspapers from 100 years ago and pick out items that were in the actual newspaper back then. But, of course, they're looking for the most nostalgic, goofy, ridiculous ones. We mix them up. We put that together in a segment called Greeley Crimes and Old Times. And so that's happening on this episode of the show, as well as the Colorado Limerick of the Damned. Now, this is where for, several years now, every week, I go on this program and I read a poem that I have written all about some place in Colorado. And it can be a big, place like Fort Collins or Denver or Vail, or sometimes it's places that even people who live in those towns have never heard of them. They can't find, they don't know, they have to write a letter to somebody, they don't know what their return address is, because it's so tiny. But they exist. They're actually statutory things on a map. So I got it into my head years ago to write a poem about all these different places, in as many as I could. And I'm still doing them. I've got about 170 of them. So once a week, I bring you a new Colorado limerick of the damned. We call it of the damned because, they're limericks. So they're supposed to be a little bit, or maybe a lot, raunchy and horrible and disgusting, and I try and fill that bill. Today, we go to San Luis. Is it Luis? Let's see. Or do they mispronounce it? Do they Americanize the Spanish and call it Louis? So it's like St. Louis, except it's Luis. I know, gringo Americans. It should be Luis, but no, San Luis, Colorado, for a Colorado Limerick of the Damned, coming up much later in the show. So that's what we're laying out for you on this episode of the program. Now, I do want to apologize to those of you, and I'm waiting for an apology to me, for those of you who were expecting the guest that we were promoting earlier in the week. I had a bad feeling about, when you have that gut feeling when we were arranging the interview with the person who was supposed to be on this episode of the show. I just had this because, I sent this person the information and say, we can do this, we can do the live show, and this person's on the West Coast. So he was like, no, I can't, it's like he barely even read the days and times that I wrote him. And said, look, if you can't do the live show, we can pre-tape this. And he, the days he gave me to be available to pre-tape were nothing like the ones I gave him where I was available. Thank you. So, it was like, but He gave me an alternate thing, and I was like, okay, we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. I'm supposed to pre-tape yesterday afternoon, right? And I always worry because it's so late in the week. It doesn't give me any options to rebook, to reschedule. You know, it's got to happen, and I get that gnawing in my heart and my gut. I'm like, something's gonna, and which is funny because I don't even get that when I have someone booked live on Saturday morning. And that's when I'm really up a creek because, it's live. I've got to fill and think of other things, as opposed to at least the day before. I can make some other contingency plans. But I'm like, okay, this guy's, got some major stuff and I'm really want to talk to him. Rabbi Saul wanted to talk to him. I was like, great, fine. We set it up. He said yes. He said, email me. Yesterday afternoon, waiting, emailing him. Don't have phone numbers because nobody even deals in phone numbers anymore. I'm looking on the web for the phone numbers and things in the white pages. Remember when white pages were like free and readily available? And it was just like you picked up a book, you found that person's last name, you found their address, and there's their phone number. And now it's like you look for a name and you go to a site and it's like, hey, here's this person's name. Here's the address with some stars covering most of the address, and if you want the phone number, you have to join. I was like, what happened to free phone numbers and directories of people, right? You can, if you do enough Googling, you do enough searching, you find most of usually what you need. And so I was like, I'm picking up the phone, I'm calling, and now, because with these spammers and things, you can barely ever get through to anybody if they don't already have you on their contact list, because they figure, unknown area code, weird phone number, never heard of this, goes immediately to like spam blocker. And so I'm trying to leave a message, won't let me leave a message. I finally get through to one person. What?
Who are you trying to call?
The person who was supposed to be on the show today.
Oh, let it go.
No, I'm not letting it go.
Okay, hold on.
So I'm calling and I want to leave, and actually I hear a voice instead of someone picks up and I identify. I just barely say, I don't even say who can I please talk to so and so, but I think I used his like full first birth name, which I imagine nobody calls him. So she probably thinks I'm some sort of marketer. So I hear hello, and I say, hey, may I speak to, because it's already like, he's already 15 minutes late. He's supposed to be on Zoom with Rabbi Saul at that moment. So I'm waiting for him, calling and like, hello, I say what I'm looking for, and then click. So now I'm royally fucking pissed.
You're always mad.
Well, I'm always mad, but now I'm mad specifically at someone. And, I tried the other number and I text. I'm assuming these are cell phone numbers. So what makes me madder than ever, because this has happened before where people they either forget, and I have done that, and this is true, when you're dealing with time zones, even if you're careful these days, after all these years, because I've been doing this so long with time zones.
Why don't you have George Clinton on?
I would love to have George Clinton on.
He's going to come to Forest Hill Stadium.
If they'll book me George Clinton, I'll put George Clinton on. But I have someone had someone who is in his way as important as George Clinton for at least a small period of time in what we would call the British invasion.
He may be on again. You don't know.
He may. So I am not going to stay. I'm not going to be on here and curse him out.
It's not the first time this has happened. And you've had
Right.
this.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Is that like one time we had a wonderful, brilliant, actually, singer songwriter. Jane Siberry, right? At that point she was going by the name Issa, but Jane sang, and this is back when we were on live on terrestrial radio, back on WGBB, and so we were going to have her on, and we're there, and we're waiting, and she's supposed to call in. She doesn't call in, and like the show goes by. Joyce actually, saves the day by imitating her in a comical way.
So don't talk about the lawsuit.
And then, finally we reach out, like, hello, what the hell? Thanks for leaving us hanging. What the hell happened? And she apologized profusely. And she's like, I'm sorry, she wasn't even just in another state. She was in another country. So between the time zones and the days and the this, and we had her on 2 weeks later, and she was absolutely delightful and lovely, and would love to have her on again, actually. So, so it does happen that people forget and they lose track, and they're very apologetic, and it's like, oops, my fault, and blah, blah, blah. And it's happened a couple of times. And it's better, obviously, when it happens not on the live show than in a pre-taping. It's better than when it happens live. So the thing that I'm most pissed off about is that I have not heard from this man. And it's been more than 12 hours now. Of leaving messages, of texting, of emails, of course, of saying, hello, you booked this, where are you? Where did you... So at the very least, I would expect some sort of apology, like, I went off the grid.
An explanation, David.
Yeah, well, he went on his Facebook page a couple of days ago to say, I'm going to go off for a day or two, because I'm just, suddenly I'm getting all these calls about interview requests, and people want this and that from me, and more information and stuff like that. I just need to be, off the grid for a day or two, right? But he said that he wrote this after he booked my show. After we were all set. I was one of those people, I guess, coming at him, and he's wondering why. Meanwhile, the man is posting several times a week all this stuff about his life, all these things about how this song was recorded, all this stuff about what it was like working with so-and-so, what it was like being part of the British invasion in the 60s. And so it's like, he's essentially asking for people to say, hey, wow, he's still alive. And he's still, he's in his 80s. He's still got it. He's remembering things. Let's get this fount of information, and pump it while we still can. Because he's obviously in a mood of recollection and nostalgia, and let's mine the information and the incredible biography of this guy to see what he's got to say. So I'm sure I'm not the only person who has felt that way, and who has been approaching him, because he's been sort of asking for it. Okay, great. So and then it becomes, I guess, a little overwhelming to him, and he says, enough. But you keep your obligations first, and then you go off the grid.
Told me musicians, right?
And yes, and he's he himself is a producer, not a musician, but he produced some major work, which I will not listen to now for years, even though it's one of my favorite songs of all time. But no, yeah. So again, I'm not going to sit here and hurl invective at him. I haven't even mentioned his name, and curse him, because for all I know, I'll hear on Monday, I was like, oh my God, we went to the Poconos, and I didn't check any email. We totally, I'm so sorry, and we'll do it. That might happen.
You needed a mental health day.
Yeah, and then I'll forgive and forget, and we'll rebook, and we'll do it, and it'll be fantastic. So that might happen, as opposed to my saying, go die in misery.
You really go from 0 to 1,000.
I do. That's my mercurial nature. That's what makes me a performer and a broadcast. If I was sitting here like this, like Tom Brokaw.
That's your genetic.
Yeah, no, it's in my DNA, and it makes me like, when people see me, whether they like me or dislike me, when they're watching me act or perform or host or present, there's nothing neutral there. There's nothing like, and here now the news, it's going to be a very warm day again, a little bit milder than the last couple of days. No, that's not going to be me, ever. If it is, I'm faking it. And people see under that the madness in my eyes. It's like, yes, the temperature's going to go down 10 degrees, so global warming is a hoax. It's like, okay, right? You know what you're getting when you watch me, whether I'm acting or doing. Dave's Gone By, this program, now in our 801th episode.
That one. Sorry.
We've had to change the name of the show, thank you very much. But we're very happy to call this one Not Anyone Can Whistle, because not everyone can. But the guy we will have, and we'll be talking to in about half an hour, can and does, Steve the Whistler Herbst. Going to be with us. So, hon, how was your week?
Good. So far, so good.
Yeah, anything new? Anything exciting?
I
Anything?
don't even remember what I did. Oh, I finished some of my other consulting work, and then I'm waiting for my bookie baba, so that's exciting.
Yeah, Joyce. So Joyce has been consulting for an organization that helps teach older people how to, use Facebook, how to use TikTok, how to use medical Internet of Things.
Sphere.
What was that? What?
The digital sphere.
The digital sphere. Okay.
That
So
you'd like to be in, that you live in.
I'm a digital square. I'm totally a digital square. I've never even tried digital pot. So, but she's been doing that. There's a book that she has written, the first draft, that she's waiting for the editors to send back. And of course, they're just waiting to send it back for when her school term begins. They should have gotten it back to her like 5 weeks ago. That's the way timing works. It's like, no, she now has one more week before meetings begin for school, and that's when the book will come, and that's when she'll have to edit the damn thing while getting the syllabi and the students and everything together. That's the way it goes. Anyway, let me tell you what else do I want to talk about my week. So let's talk a little bit about old Dela. Now, as I've been kind of talking before, I got the impetus back. I got what shall we even call it? A bit of my mojo. Well, the mojo back to do theater again in some kind of way, even during this pandemic. Months ago, when I wrote this one-act play, I wrote it for a theater company that does a festival every year of one-acts. I didn't write it for them. I wrote it as a contestant, over the transom, no agent, just hundreds of people enter, good luck, and I was lucky and good. So,
you were lucky, you were good.
Yeah, thank you. And my play was among the very few that were winners, and included in the Red Bull Theater Company's short new play festival. I've been yakking about it endlessly.
How many people looked at it? Let me see.
Yakking about it endlessly.
Don't say yak.
For the past few weeks, because I wanted you to watch it. If you go to the Red Bull Theater Company Facebook page and you scroll down, you can actually still see my play. They've plucked it out of the festival, and it's still there. You can watch it anytime. And I think it's very funny. It's 10 minutes long. It's all about the resurgence of theater, but in old-style theatrical way. And it's a Zoom. It's done in Zoom format.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. So,
Beautiful man.
but so there's the winning that, and being part of the digital rehearsal process, and seeing the way it all came out, and the wonderful way they did it, and the terrific attitude of the director. I was like, okay, this is, I do miss theater more, perhaps, than I thought, because I have not been to the theater since March of 2020. And understand, I'm a person who, in the early part of my theatering as a theater critic career, I would be going to the theater 4 or 5 times a week, every week, right? And then, even in recent years, I'd go twice a week, or I'd see, one show on a weeknight and then 2 shows on a Saturday, and just regularly. That was my life until moving to Colorado, and then kind of got weaned off it and realized I didn't need it as much as I thought I did. It was probably replacing some level of emptiness in my life to spend that much time in a theater, escaping into other people's plays and judging them. So when I came back to New York, it wasn't as important to me to see that much theater or go that much. But I still, I liked seeing, of course, a great Broadway show. Or a great off-Broadway show, too. I liked, still being part of a theater community that I knew and they all know me. And I like, still like judging other people's work. I'm a teacher.
You also like the art. I mean, you like
yes.
It's very moving, right?
Yeah. So, when you see something good,
Yeah,
I try, and I'm able.
It spurs you to.
I see a lot less bad. When you see a lot less stuff overall, you end up seeing a lot less bad stuff, and pointless and boring stuff. You still see it, but it's a lot less, and that kind of don't miss it. But I guess it made me hanker. And then, of course, with the regular coronavirus coming down in New York, and my play winning, being done, I'm like, ooh, it's time to get back on the horse. keep writing more stuff and let's bring back so-and-so. So I get a call from Richard Shore, who is a friend of the Daverhood. He's been on the show several times. And Richard was my musical director for when we performed Rabbi Saul's show, Shalom Dammit, at the Richmond Shepherd Theater almost a friggin' decade ago. Amazing. It's been like 10 years since Rabbi Saul did the show off, downtown on East, I think 26th Street it was. And we had a fabulous time and got great reviews, and we were always hoping that somewhere, like a producer would pick it up and bring it to off-Broadway, and then we bring it to Chicago and Florida, and boom, there it would be. It never happened, because that's my fucking life. But there's always that hope, because I knew from doing it, from feeling it, from revising it, and making it better and better, and making it more audience-friendly, and from the reviews that we got, that we had something great, and we had something special. So that dream didn't die. So we came back in 2019. We did a reading of the show with a so-called producer who shall remain nameless, and a director who just basically stayed out of the way, which was good, just to get a reading in front and to get more back, to get some money people interested. And then it was sort of like, okay, so they couldn't make the reading because the traffic was crazy in New York, and it was one performance, and so on and so forth. So what about, if a producer's available, can we run to the middle of Long Island and do it in their living room? Sure, whatever. What if the idiocy of the business takes over? The stupidity and the insanity of it's like, can we take off Wednesday afternoon to go and be in Connecticut? And it's like, you know what, fine. Of course, no one's asking us to go to Connecticut, but if they did, it's like, okay, we'll take our shot, because who the hell knows? And all of that is happening. And meanwhile, and so we do this reading, we're trying to make some hay of it, and then a few weeks pass, and suddenly there's these people on this cruise ship that can't come back into America because they've gotten sick with some weird thing. They've all come down with some like Legionnaire's virusy thing, and so we're all hearing about this, and it's almost kind of funny that there's these passengers who, by the way, didn't die. That's the most weird thing. That they were all fine, but they all came down with this thing, and they were for like a month. They were living on this cruise ship with increasingly miserable conditions and so forth. And then, if they quarantine the cruise ship, if they don't let it into the dock, we'll be okay. And then by February, and then by March, and then, of course, we all know what happened in late March of 2020, 17, 18 months ago. And boom. So everything got, all the Broadway, off-Broadway, regional theater, touring the shows. I mean, it was just a catastrophic time. Until a few months back, they were finally able to say, hey, look, X percent of the population and the New York population is fully vaccinated. And even though there's some variant stuff going on, if you're vaxxed, you won't get anything, or it will get very minor. And, we can do still some social distancing, but it's time for the restaurants to go back to work. It's time for the big open air concerts to go back to, for the clubs, for everything. Let's bring New York back just in time for the fall. So everything started ramping up, and people were just like, yes, and yes, and I was going, yes, and maybe I'll do my cabaret thing again, and maybe I'll bring Miracle of Long John or something to do to bring me back into that exciting, one-of-a-kind world. And so I get the call from Richard out in Colorado saying, hey, I'm coming in because I'm going to be playing piano for this thing that's going to be happening at Feinstein's 54 Below. I'll be in town for just a couple of days. Want to do something. And part of me is like, yeah, of course I want to do something. And the other part of me is, well, what the hell can I do? I mean, you're only in town for like 3 days, when what we really want to do with our show is plunk it down in some space once or twice a weekend for weeks on end to build an audience, to do this, to do it the way it really should be done. But at the same time, I'm like, well, it's an opportunity, and we'll bring him in. I haven't done theater in so long, and why the hell not? Let's try and do something, get some backers again, invite as many people as we can. Get the relatives who've already seen this damn show 4 times in various iterations. Say, can you please come back and see it one more? It's a little different. We've changed the song, and beg them and say, like, I'll buy you fucking dinner. Just sit in the seat for 90 minutes and watch this. And part of that, just in case we get somebody with some money who's interested in helping us with this thing to get it to the next level. But then, Delta stops being just like, this thing that yokels in the South and Appalachia are getting because they weren't bright enough or brave enough to get vaccinated, right? Somehow, and I wish somebody would explain this to me, how, 50, 60% of the American population is fully vaccinated, right? Something like that. And yet, they do these things, and the curve of people getting infected with this thing is just going, I don't know how.
So what happens is, it's like HIV. Viruses are smarter than humans. Viruses, their only goal is to live in the host. We're a host. They don't care what they do to us. They just want to replicate and live, right? That's their goal. They don't really have a goal. They're not personifying the virus. So what they do is they go and they say, okay, so this doesn't really, they mutate, they change. So they adapt and they see that this doesn't work anymore, so they're going to try X, Y, or Z. They're evolving, right? In their pathogenesis and their lethality, right? So,
which means that people who already are vaxxed are getting this mutation because it's figuring out a way to be in them.
Well, yeah, it's trying to like win, and so you're gonna get it. And like vaccines aren't supposed to prevent disease; they're supposed to lower severity. So like you can get the flu when you have a vaccine, the flu shot, but the flu may not kill you.
Right.
So let's say you have like weak lungs, you'll get the flu, but it won't put you in the grave. It may just knock you out,
So for like a week, you'll have weak lungs.
Yes.
So it'll be weak lung. And you have to look at them on Wikipedia. So, but you're right. I get that. I do get. But are all these people, like these suddenly like tens of thousands of people, are they all?
Why? Because the powers that be said, hey, go out without any mask, just go free.
So, well, if you were fully vaxxed, that was sort of the. I can't imagine that so many of these people were vaxxed.
Fully vaxxed against the traditional disease, not the variants. So the variants are like, hey, party. Yeah. It's like mono on a college campus.
But they're not. I haven't seen the thing where they're saying of these thousands of people, how many not vaxxed at all or one vax versus
97% or something like that of the people who get the virus are not vaxxed. But can I tell you something?
Mm-hmm.
I know many people who've said to me, "Oh, I went out. I have allergies. I think I have a cold." You don't got a cold or allergies, honey. You have Delta variant. So they're not getting tested because they have a mild form of that.
Right, okay.
So what you're getting is an undercount of the variant because people aren't getting tested.
But that's an undercount.
Yeah.
The undercount has been going like this.
Right, yeah.
In other words, the people who really who have felt bad enough,
or
they're in a job where they automatically have to be tested. Because I'm like, I go into work 5 days a week, every week. My first task, it's all our first tasks, is I sit down, I open this program, and I have to say, do you feel do you feel sick? Are you okay? Have you been near anybody who's blah 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 blah? And it's automatic. I don't even think about it. It's like, here's where I work. Click no, and I've done my task for the day. I don't even think about getting tested. Thank God. I've had a rash. Not that I should tell you on. But look at that. I've had various kinds of.
Not COVID.
No, but I'm saying, who knows? Who knows if this, isn't like, I don't know, gamma COVID, right? Because we hear about Delta, and then we've got Lambda coming down the pike, supposedly, and who knows what will come after that? Because as you said, as long as there are hosts, there will be, the virus will
outlive humans. They'll precede and postcede humans.
Yeah. So, but I mean, that's what totally gets me. The numbers of people who are still getting these things, according to the CDC, And I had to imagine, or I just wish someone would say, you're saying like 3% of the people who have this that are being tracked are people who are double vaxxed. Yeah.
Okay, so I have an MPH from a very prestigious institution. I'm not saying that to be conceited, but because I know my stuff. This is predictable. We know epidemiology, virologists. I mean, like, people know. We know what happens in the population with pandemic. We had polio, smallpox. We've had global pandemic. I mean, we know these things. Like, this is not new to anybody who does research or understands public health.
I won't mention names.
Yeah.
A mutual friend of ours who works for NIH.
Yeah.
I will not mention names.
Yeah.
But was saying half a year ago. Was saying to us, "Oh no, there's another wave coming," and we're like, "Another wave of what? Everybody's going to get vaccinated. If 80% of the world population gets vaccinated, who's going to worry?"
Yeah, but the problem is access to the vaccine, and people are getting vaccinated. It's not everybody.
Well, all right, but let's say 80% of America, 90% of England and Luxembourg, 30% of Africa.
People come in and out. Travel, like, you have to, and just when they get vaccinated, then you're going to need the boosters for the variants.
Well, that's ongoing. I love the fact that the FDA, which never actually approved any of these is now saying it's okay to get the booster. They never actually did enough R&D and testing to say that the original vaccines were safe and usable and recommended.
No, that's not true.
Well, what?
That's not true. They're tested.
I'm assuming they're tested, but there's no, in terms of long range or so-called long COVID, it can't.
What they're doing is they're looking at people they had in the clinical trials who preceded all of us, and they're saying they're looking at them to see how long they still have resistance or antibodies, to COVID or whatever. They're looking at them, and they can only predict as far out as that clinical trial went. So if that happened a year and a half ago, they can only predict a year and a half.
Right. That's what all the naysayers are saying.
Would you rather have that, or people who are the long-term COVID people who have migraines? Come on.
No, but all the taking the side momentarily of the anti-vaxxers, they're just saying everybody's been a guinea pig.
Yeah, but would you rather be a guinea pig with a vaccine, or would you rather be in the ICU intubated with COVID in your lungs? Of course.
Which is why we all. Well, not we all, but 70 whatever percent of the population currently has taken at least one vaccine, has done it.
It's not that much. It's so different.
Really?
Yeah. The rates of vaccination vary by state.
Well, yeah.
They vary by region. They vary by country.
Well, that's why Texas and Florida are going through the roof, whereas New York is going through maybe the sub-basement roof. Because there's different. Because there's that moron in Texas. It was like opening things up way too soon, but anyway, it's just again, I will not mention names, but just the other day, we have a mutual friend who is in her 20s and fully vaccinated. She got her vaccines weeks ago. I don't know, if it's double, it was probably Pfizer, I don't know. And what do you know? She goes to a family gathering. And
don't give the example. Please don't.
All right.
You just know of cases where there's breakthrough.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. And people are getting breakthrough. And I hear about this, and I'm like, okay. When Broadway opens back up, when it happens, everybody thought, okay, hey, weeks ago. When the theater league, the Broadway league said, and in concert with the mayor and the governor, or former governor, and with the CDC and saying, okay, there's no way we can make money if we reopen Broadway in a distanced way with people, filling up a third of the house and people sitting far away from each other. It's just not going to work economically to reopen shows. So they waited until the point when enough New Yorkers, and presumably enough people coming into New York, are vaxxed. Then we reopened full strength, and we just, we were very careful because they'll all be vaccinated, and then maybe we'll may take a little test or check their temperatures coming into the theater, and that'll be our thing. And the ushers will be masked, because they have to deal with 1,000 new people. People come in, you'll be masked, but when you sit down and you watch the show, presumably your head is not going to turn to anyone except like the person you came in. Most people go in pairs. You'll turn to the person that you're with at intermission, or laugh with them, or chuckle with them, and so forth. But really your head is turned this way, right? So essentially, and while that's happening, your breath is going forward. And maybe some water droplets, especially I'm so juicy, they hit the neck of the person in front of you. But he's not going to inhale it. It's not going to go up his nose and his mouth and so forth. It just is going this way. You're fine. Take off the mask. Enjoy the show. Now it's like, and Springsteen was like, well, Springsteen started his concerts in August. And it was like, when you come in, you wear a mask. When you go to the bathroom, you wear a mask. But when you're sitting there, enjoy the show.
Mask when you go to the bathroom and you're...
Oh, yeah. Now it's like all of New York, the mandate through October is you come into the thing, you have a mask on, and unless you're in an eating establishment while you're eating, or for whatever other reason, really, when you're just sitting there, barely moving except chuckling or crying or whatever you're doing at a performance.
Yawning.
Yeah, yawning. Mask on. And I don't find that people do it, and they're used to it, and they're okay with it, and I guess within a couple of minutes, if the show is good, they forget about it. I am not looking forward. I've already been invited to a Broadway show, and I don't know if I want to, for a couple of reasons. Also because the show has gunshots in it. I'm like,
you might be yourself.
Yeah. And also I'm like, do I really want to sit there, even for 90 minutes, no intermission, and be like, my face? And I know it's very, I won't say entitled, but, because I was thinking, surgeons, they do what they do, and they're masked all day.
Yeah.
They're sitting over an operating table. Everybody in that room is wearing scrubs down to here. It can't be. You just forget. You're just wearing it. It's part of what you do. You don't even think about it. You're masked. Okay. So why not do that when watching a show? Well, first of all, a surgeon makes $250,000 a year, as opposed to paying $250,000 to see a damn Broadway show. I don't know. But I also kind of was thinking about, do I really want to do a performance, invite people, have them come in, try, and the rabbi has to perform for them and make them laugh, and basically sit there and try and gauge by their eyes on whether you see their shoulders going like this, whether they're enjoying or laughing or not.
Smizing.
Yeah, so, and they're going like...
or like this.
Yeah. Which everybody, in a comedy, everybody's like this for the first 10 minutes, but to get them through 85 minutes still like this...
Why don't you just pump in laughing gas?
I might. We're just pumping like laughter, like have a laugh track.
Yeah.
Because, so I really have been so back and forth on this. I still want to do a show. What we're thinking now is maybe doing a stage reading on Sunday night, September 12th, if we can do that. And do that as a reading and maybe live stream it. And so that even if you can't make it, even if you don't want to be physically sitting in a theater a month from now in New York with a mask on, with strangers in a room, blah, 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 blah. And it's a nice big room. It's not like a tiny little elevator, like you're stuck in an elevator with people. There would be Lebensraum, if you will. But still, maybe that's the way to go. Maybe to say, let's have an informal, fun,
It's too bad you just
do
can't
it.
find something locally out here and do it at a place out here.
Probably could.
Yeah.
Like a coffee shop or something like that.
Yeah.
It's a thought. It's a thought. But so that's where the thought is, and I've just been rambling about this. But I this Delta thing is just like, you figure, because also, as I was telling you months ago, I'm needle phobic borderline. So I went and got the shots, both of them, and I'm sitting there like sweating and singing to take my mind off this army person who's jabbing me with this thing and hoping, my arm hurts for days. I go through it. I deal with it. And now I'm already getting sweaty about thinking of having to have a booster in half a year. Because they've already approved boosters for people who are immunosuppressed. Thank God I'm not. But I'm sure the next step will be, aha, Pfizer, which has just made another $20 billion from this, and then Moderna and J&J and whoever else. We've got Delta. It won't help with Lambda, but Delta, if you take this shot, you'll be okay with regular COVID and Delta. You can still get it, but you'll get the sniffles. You'll be maybe a minor headache for a day. And of course the shot will hurt like hell for 3 days, and you'll get other things from the shot. But at least the Delta things won't be bad. And then we'll all have to queue up at our local CVS or go back to Aqueduct like I did and go, okay, or actually I think it was this arm. Which arm? It was my left arm, wasn't it?
It's always this one, baby.
The left, yeah. And it's like, okay, hit me with your best shot, literally, again. Oh, joy. Oh, joy of joys. So through all of this, and as I may have said, I haven't been on a train in a year and a half. I have not been to Manhattan. I'm living on Long Island. I have not been 45 minutes into Manhattan in a year and a half. And now, thinking about, you can't get set in your ways. It kind of be like, do I really want to deal with this and be on a train and go through that? I don't know. I'm still in that. And I've got to make a damn decision pretty quick because my musical director is coming in that second week of August. So I'd love your thoughts. I'd love to know if you want to email me, davesgoneby@aol.com, davesgoneby@aol.com, or just message me right here on Facebook if you're a friend, or you can post messages under the show if you're watching the program. And let me know how you've been thinking about or dealing with Delta, where you see yourself.
Your guests too.
Well, I will. Yeah, in fact, he was just about to log on, and then we lost him.
Ooh, does Whistler?
Yeah. We were supposed to have Steve on. I'm sure he's logging right back on, I hope. So Steve, if you're there, we'll get you on in 2 minutes. But, davesgoneby@aol.com. What are you thinking about for September, October, November? Are you curtailing the things that you were thinking of doing, or have you already started doing them and you're just going to keep doing them? Because that's also the whole America thing. I understand, I really do, this idea of people it's not that they're not taking the virus seriously or the vaccine seriously, but there was always this idea of when you're growing up that if you eat your broccoli and you eat the liver or whatever good, healthy thing that they put in front of you, you get ice cream. You get the dessert. If you eat the thing that you don't want to eat but that's good for you, you will get rewarded. You will get ice cream at the end. And we're trained that way. This is how we're grown up as people. If you conduct yourself well at the family gathering, if you do a good recital and so and so, oh boy, we won't get to go your favorite, right? We get to go to Casa Bonita, right? Or is it Casa Bonita? Is that the name of it? Yeah, Casa Bonita, and go have fun. Chuck E. Cheese, there's your reward, right? We get to go there, and we're inculcated. Excuse me.
If you need your tea,
I think I'm good. We're inculcated with this idea. It's like, okay, we've suffered. We've done what's right, and now, thank you very much. This is what we work. We work 5 days a week. Some people 40 hours, sometimes 60 hours a week. Working. Why? Because twice a month, once a week, we look on our bank statement. Oh, and we can pay the rent. And when that's what we grow up. So now you have a bunch of people who, for months on end, they say, okay, I've listened. I've listened to the media. I've listened to the CDC, the health experts, the doctors, Fauci. I've worn the mask. I haven't gone and done much of that. I go shopping. I ate one time out in a restaurant. They'll say, whatever. And then weeks on end of this, months on end, and this dragged on. And now, reward. The numbers go down and down and down. And meanwhile, people are saying, well, the masks are useful, and the masks are pointless if they only have the N95, or masks are, they barely do anything. It's more about the distance. You hear tons of conflicting information, right and wrong on both sides. And so, or what's right on one side seems right, but isn't quite right when they find out more information. So people get through this, and the numbers are good. And America's going back to, and the world's going back to being the world again. And then you're suddenly told, yeah, you vaxxed. You did what was right. You wore the mask. You stayed away. You didn't go to concerts. You didn't go to this. You didn't go to a family. You didn't have a wedding. You did the wedding in the driveway. You did all the right things for so long. And you know what's your reward? Keep doing it. I think the rebellion in Americans who are sick of all this is just saying, you know what? Fuck it. Life is life. If I get this stupid disease, I'm vaxxed already. So I might get COVID. But suppose it's not going to kill me because I got the vaccine. So let me just live my damn life. I wonder about 80-something years old who are the most vulnerable, who are saying, I have maybe 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 years left when I can do things before I'm sedentary, before I start losing my cognitive thought, before, while I can still travel. Why am I going to stay healthy? And then, by the time I'm 87, the world will be opened up and I can get on a boat somewhere and go poking around Paris, except at that point, my hip won't work. I won't be able to walk. I understand that thinking. Anyway, what I don't understand is, or what I can't do as well as this next person can, is put my lips together. See, sometimes it's just pure, that's better. The tone. We have joining us in the Daverhood, our friend of the Daverhood, a talented fella with an unusual but really cool talent. His name is Steve Herbst, Steve the Whistler Herbst. And Steve has a story to tell because he was on television, on network television, just a few weeks ago. The show was taped months ago. Oh my God, Steve, you got a backdrop. That's so cool. And Steve, I think you have to unmute. So click the button. Let's get your microphone going. Give a little whistle. Give a little whistle. Hey, Steve, how you doing? Do it.
Fine. How are you this morning, Dave?
I'm great. I love that. I love that red curtain. You look terrific. How you feeling? How are you? You're fully vaxxed, I'm sure. Are you good?
I was fully vaccinated last March.
Right.
And feel fine. Thank you.
Thank God. Now it doesn't even, you can be fully vaxxed last March and still, get friggin' Delta. And has it let you, how close to normal is your current life versus last March, April, May?
Well, I guess you could say going out to dinner more often would be, when you say compared to last March, or of this year or a year ago.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant 2020. Like 15, 14, 13 months ago.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, we were way more concerned with what was happening and giving people a wide berth.
Well, But and actually, that's a fair question. The way you put it, are you doing something differently now in August than from March and April when Delta just sort of seemed like nothing?
Well, actually, I started working from home with my day job in March of 2020 because there was concern,
Oh.
and that's become the norm now.
Do you like it? Do you prefer it, or do you miss,
Well,
especially in what you do?
there are pros and cons. On one hand, I don't have to worry about travel time
Well, yeah.
or travel expense. Even though that's nominal. And
Well, it was never nominal, but okay. Yeah.
a year and a half ago, my clients were, more apprehensive, or they weren't quite used to, doing things online, via Zoom or some other platform. But people have gotten used to it.
Yeah. And in some ways, it saves them commuting time and
I've had clients tell me they prefer telehealth to because they don't have to take the time, they don't have to spend the money.
Right. And you can sit there, you're relaxed. You go to the computer, you're in, you throw on a schmata, you have a little cup of coffee, and instead of like going into, an office building and a suite and a this and that, and having to wait and a waiting room, and it's sort of like, no, I'm just going to step over to my little corner, and maybe they're more open in that fashion. Do you think, or not?
I don't know about more open, but I found it to be increasingly comfortable for the clients.
Well, good. And,
Because
and for you too. You've gotten used to it. You're liking it.
your
Yeah.
viewers are probably not aware, but my day job is I'm a psychotherapist.
Okay, I didn't want to, but thank you for explaining it. I wasn't sure if you wanted me to mention that. And basically, the reason I have you on the show is that I want you to analyze me. This is saving me $150 an hour. So please go. Anything you want to say about old Dave? In public, psychosis behind the eyes, or
I think that would be against HIPAA regulations.
would it really? Well, I'm giving you permission. I'll sign something here. Let me just sign with. Here's the dignity pen that they gave me when my father died. See, there it is. So, yeah. So, let me have it. Let me have it. Narcissistic? Vaguely depressed? Yeah. No,
You
not
know,
homicidal.
that's good. I'm glad to hear that. That's one of the things we have to rule out suicidal and homicidal ideations.
Suicidal, no. Homicidal sometimes. Wife says passive aggressive for sure.
Claro.
Definitely passive aggressive.
Is
Um,
that whom I hear in the background?
Yeah, that is my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, who joins me every Saturday for Dave's Gone By. We're here with Steve the Whistler Herbst. Now, and notice I'm pronouncing your name since last time with a much more German sort of Herbst. You see, am I doing that?
I did notice that. By the way, do you know what Herbst means?
You mentioned it last time, remind me.
It's a German vocabulary word for autumn.
Oh, my favorite season, honestly.
I thought
So,
it meant like tree or fall.
der Herbst. Can you whistle Herbst leaves? Da, 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 da.
Autumn leaves.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't even know the song.
Yeah, I could probably do that.
Probably do that. Anywho, speaking of whistling, one of the reasons we wanted to to have you on the show today is last time you were on, which was only a couple of months ago, you 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 teased at the fact that you were going to be on television, network TV. And we were saying, well, what are you going to be? I said, I can't say. They said, well, what kind of thing? I can't say. I said, all right, fine, whatever. But a month ago, they finally aired the episode that you were on of.
To tell the truth.
I honestly didn't know they brought that show back. I didn't know there was a new To Tell the Truth, but there is.
Well, to tell you the truth,
Yeah.
they brought it back like 3 years ago.
Hmm.
I mean, those of us of a certain age can remember, the original episodes that were hosted by Bud Collyer, and I think Kitty Carlisle was one of the panelists and so forth. This rendition, which has been around now for at least 2, if not 3 years, um, is being hosted by Anthony Anderson. Anthony is the star of Blackish.
Oh, okay.
He plays the father on Blackish, and they have a rotating panel each week. So you have, when they started out before the pandemic, they had 4 panelists each week. Since the pandemic, they've got 3 panelists so that they can have them socially distanced on
Oh,
stage.
oh. Okay, fair enough. Got it.
And like I think one of the most fun aspects of the show is that Anthony's mother, Mama Doris, is on the show each week, and she is a riot. She is a real,
Well, that's cool. I like that. I
you
do
know,
like that.
she gives her opinion on things. She votes on who she thinks the real hero is, um, but her vote doesn't count in terms of the final score that the panelists get. And the one who has the lowest score for guessing who's the real one gets to wear a crown with a big D on the top for dummy.
Man.
And if there's a tie, Mama Doris picks the one that she thinks should be the dummy of the week.
Oh my god.
Wow.
So it's very funny, and
Oh, yeah.
And I was really hoping that Mama Doris was going to be there when I got there, and she
Yeah, I
was.
don't remember, but she wasn't on your episode of.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, you can see her.
oh, okay.
I think
I
she
didn't
She,
know to look for her. I didn't. I've only seen your half of the episode that you were on because you were telling me like this morning. You were saying like, did you watch this? No, I didn't watch the initials. I skimmed to where you were. I watched your segment and then I watched you whistling at the end. So tell what was it like doing a segment of To Tell the Truth?
well, to give you a little background, my wife and I watched the show every week, and they'd have people on like a champion horseshoe thrower, a champion baton twirler, somebody who makes costumes for mini pigs. And I would turn to my wife and say, and again I ask, wouldn't I be perfect for this show? And my wife would roll her eyes and say, "Uh huh, yes, yes, dear, yes, you'd be, you know."
As wives
So,
do. Yeah.
so I started lobbying the producers of the show for 2 years, saying, "Hey, I think I ought to be on your show." And uh, after 2 years, in February, I finally got through to the guy who was the casting director for season 5, and he
Wow.
said, he said, "I'm no longer the casting director, but I think you'd be perfect for the show, and I'm going to refer your material to the new casting director." Great. So I waited 2 months, and I finally heard from her. She called me up, scheduled a Zoom interview. We did the Zoom interview, and she said, "Yeah, I think you'd be perfect for the show." She even went so far as to say, "I've been doing this for a while, and you're the most interesting person I've interviewed yet." I said, "Great. Does that mean I'll be on the show?" She said, "No. It means
I love showbiz. Yeah.
I'm going to recommend you, and it'll be up to, the powers that be."
Right.
So waited another month, and for a couple, I don't know, it was 2 or 3 weeks, I guess. And I finally heard from the producer who was involved with that segment. And he wanted to know when I was available. I said, "Hey, I'm available whenever you want me."
That's what you have to say as an actor.
And you know, a lot of questions, and a lot of contracts to sign, releases, and all that sort of thing. And then they sent me an e-ticket to fly out to Hollywood. Yeah, and I said, "Oh, great." They said, "Well, yeah, but before you go, you need to get a COVID test."
Hmm.
I said, "Oh, okay." And they wanted the PNR test, the more intrusive, uncomfortable,
You mean like up the like
way up, way up. They're all up the nose, but way up.
yeah.
So I had now this is Thursday afternoon. I'm supposed to fly Friday, Saturday morning, and I said, "Where am I going to go get a COVID test today?" And I went over to Duane Reade, where I had gotten tested in the past and vaccinated in the past, and they said, "We don't do the PNR test."
Hmm.
Okay. So I went walking around. I found another place, a walk-in place, filled out all the forms, whatever. And then I say, "Now, when would I get the results from this PNR test?" And they said, "Well, it takes 48 hours." Now, bear in mind, it's now
You're on a
late
plane. Yeah.
Thursday afternoon, and I'm supposed to fly out Saturday noon. So I called up the producer and I said, "Listen, it's going to take 48 hours." He said, all right, get the rapid test." I got the rapid test.
Right.
So I flew out, and then I had to go for another COVID test the day after I landed,
Yeah. Fair enough.
be quarantined.
Jeez.
And
But
then
when did you tape? How when what time?
May
How long ago?
25th.
May. Well, yeah. Okay.
The show aired July 18th.
Right. Well, I thought it was back in like February, March when you taped
No,
this. It
no,
was
no,
okay.
no, no,
All
no.
right.
And then so I had to get another COVID test the day after I landed,
Mhm.
and then I had to get another COVID test the day of the shoot. I'm already in the studio, backstage. Another COVID test before they let me on the set. So, and I'm thinking to myself, what happens if the test turned out positive? All this has been for nothing. Like I'm out here in Hollywood, and now what? But luckily
You
it
still
was.
got a free trip to Hollywood, but yeah, you won't be on the. They won't let you on the stage,
Yeah.
or build put a glass around you or something.
So to get back to your question, it
Yeah. Yeah.
turns out that they wanted me to do two segments of the show. My segment, Steve the Whistler,
Yes. Yes.
and then the first segment was I am a skyscraper window cleaner.
See, I didn't see. This was not on your Vimeo. I haven't seen
Yeah.
that part.
We didn't we put it. So meanwhile there are three guys, including myself, that are saying that we're skyscraper window cleaners, or the skyscraper window cleaner, and
Right.
obviously I'm not, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody who might get a kick out of watching that segment, but after that segment, when the real skyscraper window cleaner was identified and he left, then they have a thing called "and now before you go." And the other guy that was left with me from the window cleaning segment, and I now did the "Who's the Hall of Fame window who's the Hall of Fame whistler?" And that's the segment that's available on my website,
Oh,
stevethewhistler.com. So
okay.
if any of your viewers or listeners want to see that segment, you can go to stevethewhistler.com, and that's my website, and you can not only see that segment, but there are other videos of concerts that I've done, or nightclub performances, including my debut at Town Hall here in New York City, and performance at Feinstein's 54 Below nightclub, duet that I did with Leanne Marie Dobbs, who's a Broadway star.
What's the name of the your
No, I
website again?
have
It's
it.
Steve
It's Steve.
stevethewhistler.com.
I have it.
stevethewhistler.com.
I'll put it in the chat.
My wife Joyce is putting that.
Ask him about the firewall.
What about the firewall?
So I had friends who were on a game show and they couldn't talk about the results for
Oh.
like until the show aired. Is that true for him?
Well, yeah, he was on our show. He couldn't mention it.
Yeah, yeah.
You had to be like, "Hi, Vicki. I'm just in the middle of I'm chatting with Steve." So
The show,
yeah.
now that the show has aired, we don't have the same restrictions that we had before. I was bound by, confidentiality before the show aired, and I mean, you can imagine. As I said, we shot the episode, season 6, episode 15. We shot the episode in, May 25th, and it aired July 18th.
Wow.
So I was, like really waiting.
Uh-huh. Well, imagine the guy who's on Jeopardy now that everybody's watching. He's just won like $500,000 on Jeopardy, and he can't. This. God knows, this was probably shot 3-4 months ago, and he can't say. Well, how much did you end up winning? It's like I can't. Are you still on? It must be really tough.
Can you imagine how hard it is to whistle with bated breath?
Oh,
Oh.
that's very good.
Mr.
Ba-dum-bum.
Peabody.
Thank you. Joyce just said, "Oh, Mr.
No, I said
Peabody."
Mr. Steve Body.
Mr. Steve Body. I love it. Mr. Whistler. Now, we've been talking with Steve the Whistler Herbst about his appearance on To Tell the Truth, and we're being truthful here also. Let me see if do I get to unmute you? Oh, I just can ask you to unmute. Vicki, can you? There you go. This is Vicki Quade.
She's in a very patriotic frame.
Yeah, it's not 9/11 yet.
Oh.
What's all that then?
And behind it's the air show, which is going to be here in Chicago next week.
Oh, far out. So,
The air and water show. Everybody loves it, but I hate it.
wait, I couldn't hear what Joyce.
So we're watching on Netflix Malice at the Palace, where it's Chicago, right? Where they had that athletic event with the basketballers and everybody, like it was a melee, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if they should have public events.
Well, if there's a melee in the sky, it's a lot worse than on a basketball court. I'll tell you that.
That's right.
How you been, Vicki?
Oh, I've been fine. Been fine. Yeah. Just now it's all about marketing, getting ads done and posters created because, I open in less than a month.
Right, exactly. So are you? What are the mandates in Chicago? Like when people come into your show, do they have to be masked and all that?
They have to be vaccinated or
Okay.
have a negative COVID test within 24 hours.
What's her website? Nuns.
What are you, nuns? What's your nuns?
Nuns, the number 4 fun.com.
Nuns
all one word.
Nuns4fun.com.
Nuns4fun.com.
In the chat.
So, but when people, because in New York, now that they're starting Broadway and off Broadway again, people have to come in, not only vaxxed, but you have to wear a mask all through the whole thing. Is that
Yeah.
with you guys too, or Chicago not making that mandate yet?
Well, because they have to be vaccinated to get in. Once they get into the space, if they want to wear their masks, we're saying that's fine. But if they feel comfortable taking them off, then I think
We're okay
since
with that.
we've already proved that they're vaccinated, if they feel like they want to take it off within the space, they can do that.
And since they're in Chicago, the mayor's like, yeah, do whatever. If you want to shoot somebody, we're used to it. Go ahead.
No, we don't like people being shot.
I think you're used to it by now.
For power. So
No.
in the classroom, they're telling professors and teachers to enforce masking. But a nun has way more power in a show to enforce masking. Who's not going to listen to the nun? She's got a rule.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Although the
All
hard
you have to do is put the ruler up. Put that mask on. You there in the third seat.
Are you a nun? Are you a nun, Vicki?
No, but I was raised in a very Catholic household, and I went to Catholic schools, and we were very good friends with the nuns, and they used to come over to our house. So I'm very connected to the nuns.
And she's the co-creator of Late Night Catechism.
I have a question for you then, Vicki.
Yes.
What do you call a priest?
Oh.
who becomes
All right, do it. Just go ahead, do it. It's some horrible nun joke.
What do you
Go
call?
ahead.
That has nothing to do with nuns. What do you call a priest who becomes an attorney?
Go ahead.
A father-in-law.
Oh.
But
It's clean, I'll give you that.
it is clean.
Mr. Steve.
Shocking for this show.
Look how everyone's wearing red.
No, we've got everybody. But this is so cool. We've
They're
got
all
the gang.
red, yeah.
So let me first reintroduce everybody that we're talking to. And David, you can unmute. So we have with us Steve the Whistler Herbst, network TV star of To Tell the Truth, or at least the episode where nobody was fooled in that second round, man. They just I won't give any more away, but it was kind of like if people are looking for a true competitive, knowledgeable whistler, they know they're going to find you. We also have Vicki Quade, the creator of Late Night Catechism, and also Holy Christmas Bingo.
Tons of bingo shows and lots of stuff.
Right, and out in Chicago at the Greenhouse Theater. And we also have our weekly panelist, David Sheward, who is, how are you doing? You're off vacation. How long before you have to start teaching school again?
We have to go back. Well, teachers go back the Thursday after Labor Day, and then the students come back the following Monday.
Oh, so you've got a little bit of time.
Yeah. The Jewish holidays are earlier this year, so we're starting later.
Let me ask you, you've gone through your main vacation. You had a great time, I think. Wow, how are you spending your last 2 weeks of freedom?
It's more than 2 weeks.
Or 3
I'm
weeks.
going to get something.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to. I'm. There's a little bit of theater. It looks like she's walking off into the wild blue yonder.
I am. I'm walking off the watch. I'm coming back. I wanted to show you guys something.
Oh,
I'm coming back.
Well,
Right
guys,
through the
make sure,
sky.
Steve, please make sure you have a pen and paper. I just need you to have like a something you can scroll with in a piece of paper. But David, yes, please.
Oh yeah, you walk away from the screen. I'm watching. I'm going to what theater there is. I did go to, because it's beginning to come back a little bit. I saw Merry Wives in Central Park Saturday night. And next Thursday, I'm going to the play Passover at the August Wilson Theater, which will be the first Broadway show I will have seen in 18 months.
Yeah.
Because they pushed up the opening by 3 weeks.
So how do you feel about now having to sit through a play fully masked? Do you care? Is it going to annoy you? Are you going to forget about nothing?
It doesn't bother me at all.
Oh.
It's a necessary precaution. I have no problem with it.
Yeah.
And I don't get these people who are like, oh, you're asking me to wear a mask? Oh, how dare you?
Well, not how dare you, but
How dare you ask me to wear a mask?
You know, I
want to point one thing out.
What?
Okay, so when you asked about the precautions being taken at the greenhouse,
Yeah.
once people get into our space, my gift to them for the month of September is if you show me your vaccination card, you're going to get a get out of hell free card.
Oh, good.
Hold it closer to the. Can you? There you go. Wow, get out of hell. I could use
Out
seven
of
of
hell
those.
free card. Now,
You send one of those? I mean, I'd like one of those.
Didn't they used to,
Steve, you
Dave
ready?
probably needs a lot of them. That's what I'm
didn't they
thinking.
used to call those indulgences?
Well, there are indulgences. That just gets you out of purgatory,
Oh,
not out of hell. Nothing gets you out of hell, Dave. No matter, David, no matter what,
what?
if you're going to hell, you're going to hell. So,
But didn't Martin Luther like protest against that?
And he was a king.
purgatory, that you can buy your way out of purgatory.
Right? Isn't that what Martin Luther was sort of protesting
Yes.
against?
Well, that's what started the whole rift.
You know, all this has just reminded me of a kind of funny story. There's a fellow who goes into the confessional next to the priest, and the priest says, "What would you like to tell me, my son?" And he says, I'm 82 years old, and I just had sex with a 15-year-old girl." He said, "Wow." He said, "You know, I want you to do, 20 Hail Marys, and, he said, "Well, I'm not Catholic." He says, "You're not Catholic?" He says, "No." He said, "Well, why are you telling me this?" He says, "I'm telling everybody."
I would change that the 15 to 19.
18.
Yeah.
It goes a whole different direction from when we were telling that joke 30 years ago,
You know
man.
what his name was?
Yeah.
I think that's the way I heard it.
It's Andrew.
Yeah.
Or Jeffrey Epstein. It's more of a Jeffrey Epstein style joke. If you change the girl to 19, it's perfect. Yeah.
Talking about mask wearing, I also sing, and have been a member of the University Glee Club of New York City for 42 years now. And we had a meeting. We did virtual rehearsals, Zoom rehearsals in the last year, and really changed the way we have done things. But now we're talking about meeting again in person for our rehearsals starting in September, and doing a winter concert in January live in person, as opposed to what we did last time, which was virtual. Everybody shot their own, and then they had an engineering thing. So the discussion was, you have to have proof of vaccination, and we're supposed to wear masks while we are rehearsing. So people say, "Yeah, singing with a mask on, that's going to be challenging." But that's going to be what's required.
Have you tried it? Have you tried or whistling or singing? Or
I have tried whistling with a mask on, and it depends on the mask. If the mask is too tight or too snug, it's pretty difficult. And there's also the matter of getting breath, because
because it's over your nose as well as your mouth. That's right.
So it can be challenging. People who live or are in my neighborhood here, when obviously when I'm walking my dog, for example, hear my whistling. But nowadays, you can take your mask off outdoors, so it's not a problem.
Well, let me ask Vicki that last thing, because you do play a nun in Late Night Catechism. So here's the deal: like the one thing, if people are masked sitting in your audience, how will you be able to tell if they're chewing gum?
Yeah, that's right.
That's
Everybody's chewing gum. Everybody gets punished.
Oh, you ever do that with like one person, or the teachers would do that? If the one person won't confess, everybody takes them.
It is a story someone told during the show. They said that when they were in school, the nun would have them line up on Friday, and as they walked out, the nun would smack their hands, because she said, "I know you're going to do something over the weekend, and I'm not going to be there to see it."
Wow!
Got a hand smack before they left.
That belongs on the show, Vicki. That's actually such a great story. That belongs somewhere.
Oh, I love that story.
Yeah.
Sometimes I told it in the show.
Now, one of the things I love is doing this program. It's called Dave's Gone By. It's 10:30 in the morning Eastern Time. We're here with Vicki Quade, David Sheward, who, by the way, is the former president of the Drama Desk, former managing editor of Backstage, and current writer for theaterlife.culturaldaily.com, theaterlife.com, and the David Desk blog, as well as Steve, the Whistler Herbst. We do want to give it a shout out and a good feelings and refuah shlema to all our mutual friend really Leslie Hoban Blake, who is she's going through some health stuff, and this is not a week that she can join us. So we're hoping that she will be back and well next week. She's going through a long thing. But anywho, we got you guys. And I think you've all played the Today Yesterday game at least once. Right? So I'll do the rules real quick. Here's the deal. It's questions. There's 3 rounds of 3 questions. Each of you get a question. There were 2 points each. And if you get them right, if you get them wrong, no penalty, but another person gets to steal. Every question, except for a couple, is based on something that happened in history on this day, on August 14th, because today is August 14th, 2020. Except there's 3 clues in the news questions I'll explain. But yeah, and that's about it. And then if need be, we have a tiebreaker, or even if needn't be, we do the tiebreaker anyway. Do you guys have any questions about how the game is played?
Why'd you become Lawrence Wells?
I don't know. So on 1 and 2, we are going to ask Steve the Whistler, since this is, I think, only your 3rd time on the show. You are a newbie. So, huh?
I don't know. Did I do it many years ago?
Yeah. You were first on the show back in like 2004 or something like that. Years you were in person at WGBB. And then we had you on many years later. Oh, I'm so glad you don't remember being on my show. I'm so glad it was such a blip in your life.
David, I think you traumatized
Mr. To Tell the Truth.
I got memory issues all over the place.
Well, you won't want to remember. I guess, yeah, you kind of want to forget being on this program. But I want you to you won't have to remember it, because you're going to tell me. Pick a number, please, between 1 and 6.
5.
Steve goes with 5. And Vicki, could you kindly?
4.
4. And David Sheward?
Oh wait, so we've got 5 and we've got 4 are taken, right?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
I'll go with 3.
David Sheward goes with 3. Now, by the way, do you guys want to play the game, or do you just want to assume that David's going to win anyway?
Leslie would not like that attitude.
See, I have to admit, I forgot the significance of picking a number.
Oh, and we're going to find out right now. What happens is I have a digital dice rolling thing called Roll It. I mean, everybody does. It's a website where I can roll a one-sided die, which I'm going to do right now. And it comes up number 2, which is closest to David Sheward's number 3. So David now gets to decide whether he wants to go first, second, or third in the game.
I will go first.
David Sheward going first. And now I'm going to roll the die again. And it comes up a number 3, which is David Sheward's direct number, but closest second to Vicki Quade. So Vicki.
I'll go second.
Vicki Quade will go second. And Steve the Whistler, do you choose to go third?
Not much of a choice.
Just
What choice do I have here?
Yeah, it was a joke. It was kind of just funning you. So it's David Sheward first, Vicki Quade second, Steve Herbst goes third. And all that means is, it's a way of keeping the questions random. So it's not like they can pick the order that the questions are. Yeah. At least, it could have been anybody answering these questions in different orders. So the first question goes to you, David Sheward. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. The year 1590, published today, is a play about a shepherd turned mighty ruler. He's based on a real person, an Uzbek-born sheep thief, also turned mighty ruler. Name that play, which is considered a turning point in modern blank verse drama.
Weird.
That's not the name.
I seem to recall when we were doing this in high school, the second Shepherd's play, but it wasn't about someone becoming a mighty ruler. But the second Shepherd's play was a very important thing. So the only thing I could think of is the second Shepherd's play.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, I'm afraid you are wrong. So
No.
the little sheep joke. You are
Okay.
wrong. I'm gonna roll the die here, and we're gonna see. We come up. Wow, low numbers, man. Number 2 again, which is closest to Vicki Quade. Vicki, do you want to try and steal? The year was 1590.
I can try to steal, but I have no idea. Really, no idea at all. But a mighty ruler. David was a mighty ruler.
Thank you.
So I thought maybe it's just the story, the Song of David. I have no idea. I'm making that up.
The Fall of David.
The song.
The Song of David.
You said the song.
Yeah, why not?
La 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 la. You're wrong, and that's the end of my
I
song.
knew I was.
So, Steve, the Whistler Herbst, do you have an answer? Do you want to try for this one?
I have no idea whatsoever, not a clue. So instead of guessing, I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to ask you, did you hear about the king who was 12 inches tall?
No.
He was a terrible king, but he made for a good ruler.
Mr. Peabody.
I'm just dying by inches here.
Oh, Mr. Peabody.
Thank you. Please keep doing that, Steve. Please, so I don't have to make those jokes. You will. So here's the deal. Oh, yeah, I didn't want to. Whatever. 1590. So just a little before, or contemporary with Willie the Shake. But it's not William the Shake. It's Christopher Marlowe, and his play.
Tamburlaine?
Tamburlaine the Great.
Oh, I never thought of that.
How could anybody miss that one? It's so obvious.
And Bob Dylan even wrote a song about it. Hey, Mr. Tamburlaine Man thing.
Conquering all those countries, you were just ruler, and you were more than 12 inches.
Lucky Mrs. Tamburlaine. Anyway, I don't even know what that means.
And Jack Palance and Albert Finney played you.
Oh, I see. David always finds a way to relate things to movies. Did Albert Finney play Tamburlaine the Great?
I think he did it on stage, or somebody did on stage. Anthony Quinn or somebody did.
Amber Tamblyn should have played Tamburlaine the Great. That would have worked. I think that would have been
That would work.
Dave, apropos.
Now that you that was very well phrased because you really hit it very, very cleverly.
She did or I did, or we both did.
Oh, are you muted or am I muted?
No, I hear you.
Well, we hear you. Nobody responded.
What happened? Everything was muted for a minute.
I'm sorry. No, everything's fine. But you were going to say, Steve.
Dave, speaking of sheep farming.
Yes.
You know what you call a sheep that's covered with chocolate?
Sheep dip?
Hershey bar.
Oh God.
Oh, that's a sheep from New England, right?
Yeah.
You sound like Spalding Gray when you do that. Yeah. Mr. Steve Body.
Let's go over. I want some lobster, Mr. Shepard.
I would say that I would hope that Steve doesn't make any more sheep jokes, but I know you will. All right, here we go. Let's. Sorry. Nothing. Well, no, Vicky's giggling. Okay, so we have a tie game, but we go on to our second question, and this one goes directly to Vicky. And Vicky, it's a clue in the news. 3 clues in the news.
All right. Okay.
This is a new wrinkle that we've added to the game. For people who don't know, these are 3 words that are connected to the word that we are looking for. These 3 words are not connected to each other. They are connected, so it could be like blank word or word blank, or it might be sort of a synonym-y thing of the word. Got it? All right, here we go. And the answer is in some way related to the news. All right? 3 clues in the news.
Get this idea? Did you get this from watching Super Password or Password Plus?
I was thinking of just trying to add a new wrinkle to the game, and also trying to make coming up with 10 bloody questions every week a little easier. So
I like this new segment. I think it's good. Yeah, it's fun.
Well, let's see if you get it right though.
Yeah, it's hard, but it's fun.
The words are cup, whistling, south.
Oh. Um,
Thank you so much for the musical thing like that. Cup whistling
Got a text message.
south.
um, um, hmm. Cup whistling.
Is that me?
No, that's somebody's text. Somebody's getting.
It's not me.
That's
Not me.
That's a text message that I'm getting from a whistling friend of mine.
Okay. So, okay, cup whistling
South.
south. Oh man. Whistling's a tough one. It's like, okay, what's that one? Cup whistling south.
I don't know that one.
Boy, I don't know. I'm really having trouble trying to figure out a word that each would fit each of those.
So again, can we blank the word or word blank, but also it could be, synonymously related. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. No, I know the game. I can't figure it out. I'm sorry. No.
You want to take a guesseroo?
Coffee cup, coffee whistling.
Well, I don't know where you've been, but coffee is not the correct answer.
I knew that.
All right, you didn't know that. Let's roll the die and see who gets to steal. Ooh, we come up with a number 1, which is closest to David Sheward. So, David Sheward,
okay.
You want to take a shot at this? 3 clues and lose.
Cup whistling south.
Yes.
All right. Cup. Tea. Whistling tea kettle. But how would south fit into it? And what's in the news that would have anything to do with any of this? Maybe fires?
Oh, I'm telling you what you just said there.
Dixie. The word is Dixie, and it has to do with the Dixie fire.
That's it. You're right.
Is that your final answer, David Sheward?
Yes.
David Sheward, you are on fire. Well done. It is Dixie Cup, Whistling Dixie, of course, and I was so hoping Steve would get this one, but David Sheward, no offense, David, but whistling, and of course, South is a synonym for Dixie. Well done, man. Well done,
job, David. Nice job.
I'm afraid that it's gone with the wind.
Yeah. Why do they? You would know this, Steve. Where did the idea of you ain't just whistling Dixie come from? I mean, how did that become a phrase? Do you know?
I guess I ought to know that, but I don't.
Next time, come to the show more prepared.
Anecdotally, I'll tell you that one of the concerts that I was involved with, this was at Lincoln Center or Carnegie Hall, I forget which, but I was standing in front of 200 singers, who included the West Point Cadet Chorus and the University Glee Club behind me, and an audience of a couple thousand in front of me, and we were going to do having a memory issue now, mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming.
Republic. What is that?
Battle Hymn of the Republic.
Battle Hymn of the Republic. So we were singing Battle Hymn of the Republic, but as an introduction to the Battle Hymn of the Republic, I actually whistled Dixie in slow march tempo as an introduction to the Battle Hymn of the Republic in that concert.
Well, you won't be hearing that song on stage as much anymore. That's for sure.
Let me say, I just looked it up while you were talking.
Yeah.
It is the idea that you are engaged in an unrealistic, hopeful, fantasizing idea, whistling Dixie. The idiom alludes to the song Dixie and the vain hope that the Confederacy, known as Dixie, would win the Civil War.
Oh,
wow. So nobody's going to be whistling that song or singing that song on any stage any woke time soon.
So Cynthia said, "Get well, Leslie," and she said, "Is this dad joke hour?"
I love dad joke. I would be, you know,
Dave,
I'm
hey
not
Dave,
old enough.
hey,
Yeah.
do you know how to tell that a joke is a dad joke?
How can you tell if a joke is a dad joke, Steve?
It's apparent.
That's actually very good. I like that one.
And let's
That,
do
that
this.
was, that was very
Yeah,
good.
write that one down. I'm sure we'll hear that in the future.
Amazing enough, Steve the Whistler Herbst gets the next question. Let's see if he can do it without telling a joke. I hope not. Are you ready, Steve? You get a multiple choice.
Oh, good.
Here we go. So remember, all these things happened on August
Cynthia
14th.
said either it's apparent or no one laughs.
Oh, no, that was funny. I like that joke. All right.
Cynthia's tough.
Anyway, 1820 was the year, August 14th, the date. 1820, opening today in downtown Manhattan is the New York Eye Infirmary, which eventually became the New York Eye and Ear Infirmary of Mount Sinai, now on East 14th Street. According to the Princeton Eye Group and a couple of other websites, which of these is not true about eyes and eyeballs? Which of these is not true about eyes and eyeballs? A, eyelashes have an average lifespan of 2 years. B, Teddy Roosevelt went half blind while in office. C, when newborn babies cry, they don't make tears. Or D, just like your skin, your eyes can get sunburned.
Which is not true?
One of these is not
It's false.
false. Yes,
Which
one
is
of these is
false?
false.
I pick A.
You're saying A, eyelashes have an average of a lifespan of 2 years is not true. Is false?
That's what I'm saying.
Well, the eyes have it. Steve the Whistler. How did you, was it a guess or did you know or how did you know?
It just made sense to me that eyelashes don't last that long.
They don't.
Days, right?
3 months. An eyelash generally lasts about 3 months. So Steve the Whistler, you got it, man. You got 2 points off that. And just FYI, did you want, ah!
I think this one's about ready to go. You know.
No.
You know,
Well, Dave,
I felt a little browbeaten.
Well, Steve should know. David Sheward should know about this because he's a teacher and he has so many pupils. But I'm so sorry.
She got it wrong. Cynthia got it wrong.
Well, here's the deal. Teddy Roosevelt. I don't know if you knew this, but he liked to box, and he had. This is not a joke. He had a sparring partner, and he had him sparring in the White House, and the guy he was fighting with got him right in the eye and ended up blinding him in that eye for the rest of his life. And this is when he was still president. You can get sunburn in your eyeball. And I don't even know. Babies don't make tears until several weeks old.
Yeah.
I mean, they cry, but there's no
Who is
tear
David
ducts.
calling?
Yeah, David has walked away from the game.
It's his mother. His mother's like, this is a stupid show.
Well, there's
You
nothing.
told me to watch this. Now I wonder why.
We have a kind of a tie game here. We have David Sheward up against Vicki Quade and up against Steve the Whistler Herbst. Everything okay, David?
Yes, it was a phone call for my husband, and I just put my foot on the chair coming back. But everything's fine. No, it's
All right. So I hope you don't have toe main poisoning.
It's really you're everyone's sinking to a new low today.
What have I done?
No, that's true. Vicki has not. Vicki's been very good.
Wait a minute.
No,
You are not
everyone.
getting a get out of hell free card for that, David.
Not
So
everyone.
David, yeah,
I'm
sorry.
sorry, not everyone.
David Sheward, you are tied for first place with Vicki Quade.
No.
I'm sorry, with
with
Steve, the Whistler Herbst. Again, we have that S thing because we have a last name with S and a first name with S, so I get confused. But it's S for Sheward, Q for Quade, and H for Herbst. But David, you get to start off round 2 with a question.
Okay.
Worth 2 points, and it is.
We need some stadium music. Like,
I know. Well, I can't play music on the show because of copyright. Dum-da-dum-da-dum. It's a multiple choice. 1893 is the year. Paris institutes the first motor vehicle registration law, mandating the use of visible license plates. In this law, at that time, the plates had to include, besides a unique number, which of the following? A, the auto manufacturer, B, the owner's address, C, the name of the auto dealership, or D, all of the above?
Wow.
There would be room for anything else if it were all of the above. I was waiting for D because all the first three sounded kind of like there wouldn't be enough room for all of this. So the address, it's A, the address
The
of the
manufacturer,
the name of the manufacturer,
right?
The address of the owner,
Right.
and the name of the dealership,
Yeah.
or all of the above.
Right.
Now, the weird answer, the unexpected answer would be all of the above, because you would think there couldn't possibly be room for all of those things, plus the number. And I'm trying to visualize, when the Bellamy's on Upstairs Downstairs got their car. But this was in France, not England.
Right.
Oh, Cynthia says.
She is incorrect.
Oh, you muted yourself. Okay. Because I don't remember any costume dramas from that era on public television set in France, so that doesn't help me. Part of me is leaning towards all of the above, and I it's just crazy. That couldn't possibly be the answer, so I'll say all of the above.
Is that your?
Yeah, sure.
This, by the way, gives me the opportunity to make one of the first jokes I ever made, and Vicki will appreciate this. What do you call the patron saint of multiple choice exams?
Saying, I don't know.
The none of the above. Ha! Ha! I made that. I wrote that joke in my pre-teens.
But
I did.
Nuns can't. Well, they can't be saints.
But anyway, by the way, David Sheward, I'm afraid that is not the correct answer.
No,
So,
I gambled and I lost.
you gambled and you lost, but let's see who might win. We have the number 5, finally a higher number, and it goes directly to Steve the Whistler, whose number was 5. So, Steve, do you want to try and steal this question of what, besides the number, what was on those original license plates when it became a law in France in 1893?
Okay, yes. I'll try to steal.
Okay, I'll read the options again. Is it A, the auto manufacturer, B, the owner's address, or C, the name of the auto dealership?
I'll say the name of the manufacturer.
Is that your final answer?
Let's see now. The manufacturer, the owner's address, or the dealership, you said?
Yes.
All right, final answer.
Well, I'm afraid you are not an autodidact on that question. That is not the correct
What
answer.
letter was that?
Vicki, that was A.
Okay.
So, Vicki.
I'm going to say the owner's address so that they knew where the car was going if it was left or stolen or something like that. I'm going to say the owner's address.
Well, you were certainly able to home in on that question. Well done, Vicki Quade. You had to put the whole.
What letter?
That was letter B, is the correct answer. So, and Vicki Quade ties up the game.
Oh, my goodness.
Cynthia said that's crazy.
I was getting worried.
I've always wanted a three-way. We have one now. Ladies and gentlemen, every one of our contestants has 2 points. Well done. Much more game to play.
Ding dong, ding
Ding.
dong.
Oh, Joyce watches this makeup show on Netflix where the woman, they judge like special and what would you call it? It's fashion makeup. It's also
artists, makeup
horror
artists,
movie.
yeah.
Makeup artists try to impress the judges. And there's one woman, when she's super impressed, she's like, that is a ding dong. Yeah, don't know what's in her head. But anywho, ding dong, ladies and gentlemen. We are in round 2 with the next question, though, going to Vicki. So, Vicki, if you get this right, you get to move into the lead.
Okay.
It's a multiple choice,
All right.
and the year is 1921.
Right.
Supported by Russia, the People's Republic of Tuva was established today. Among the animals you'll find in Tuva are camels, goats, sheep, and all of these except which? A, reindeer, B, gerbils, C, beavers, D, gorillas.
Oh,
That's a tough one.
well, it's the logical thing is to say gorillas, but that's so unusual that I'm thinking you could find gorillas there. So I'm going to say, and reindeer makes sense because it's in that area. Oh, maybe not. Okay, I'm going to say reindeer because I think reindeer maybe are not around Russia. I may be wrong about that. I'm going to say reindeer.
Well, you may be red-faced and red-nosed about that one. That is not the correct answer. Vicki
Darn
Quade, they do. You had the right instinct. They do have reindeer there in Tuva. So let's see who can maybe steal this question. I'm going to roll the die, and the die comes up numero uno, which is closest to David Sheward. David Sheward, we're going to try and steal.
All right. Sure. What are my choices again?
Okay. So there are lots of animals that you can find in Tuva, all except one of these. Is it B, gerbils, C, beavers, or D, gorillas?
And it's in Tuva, which I've never heard of.
Oh.
Married to Ernest
Joyce is saying, isn't she married to Ernest Borgnine? No, she's Irish. Tuva, luva, luva. Okay, sorry.
So gerbils. When you listed all the animals, the first thing that came to my mind was a rather disgusting orgy.
That's on you, Dave. That's on beavers, I get, but then that's so totally on you.
And gerbils and Richard Gere.
Oh God, yeah.
That wasn't true though. That was.
Of course, it's not true.
I know.
Julia Roberts was true.
Dated by Cindy Crawford when they're during the divorce settlement, I think, and the Dalai Lama.
So gerbils,
beavers,
gorillas.
Yes.
Day at the zoo. Oh, Cynthia wants to know what David teaches.
Oh, David, what do you teach? Remind us. Is it history or is it English?
I teach special education in high school.
Special ed, the helmet kids. Yeah. So.
Oh God, David.
Careful. Okay. Let's see. Let me think. Let's see. So gerbils, beavers, gorillas.
Whether it's a small animal or a large animal,
Yeah.
I'll say gorillas.
Is that your final answer?
Sure.
Well, prepare to go apeshit, David Sheward, because that is the correct answer. Well done, gorillas indeed. I had no idea, but that. The common gerbil that you see in the pet stores here is like the Tuvan gerbil. It's their actual.
Where is Tuva?
Yeah, where the hell is this place?
It's sub-Siberian Russia.
Oh, naturally. Claro.
So well done. Wasn't it? There was an Allen Ginsberg poem or song called "Bus Ride to Tuva," and no, seriously, it's been around for a bit. So David Sheward now has 4 points. So well done. He is in the lead with Vicki with 2 and Steve the Whistler Herbst with 2. But Steve the Whistler gets the next question. So Steve, this is another 3 clues in the news. These are 3 words that are connected to the word that we're looking for. No, they're not connected to each other. They're connected to this other word. Are you ready for your clues in the news? And the word is something that will have some relation to something that's going on in the world. Are you ready? Yeah. You get so serious when the question. The rest of the time you're making all these jokes, and then it's like, just tell me the question. Just tell me the question. I know. Here we go. Drug bank syndrome.
I'm not good today at these, David. Drug
bank syndrome.
Yes. But this question is for Steve.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Drug bank
Drug
syndrome.
bank. These are getting more difficult, right?
So now I'm supposed to come up with a word that relates to all three of those?
Right. So it could be.
You're not giving me a multiple choice or anything.
No, sorry, man. No.
Just like David had Dixie, Dixie Cup, Whistling Dixie, and it related to
Right.
the Dixie fires in the news.
Perfect. Thank you, Vicki. I should give him an example. That's right. I was going to say, like,
Well, that's a good example. He doesn't need another one.
All right, okay. Thank you, Vicki. Thank you, Mother Superior. All right, so.
I think you've been schooled.
He's a smart boy.
No, but I should have done it before. I forgot to do it when I was first giving the rules. But okay.
That's okay.
Can you give the three words again?
Hey,
The three for this question are
drug,
bank, syndrome.
I have no idea.
Do you want to pick any word out of the?
Tell Steve. No, tell Steve. If you don't know what to say, just do some marketing for your work.
Yeah.
You know, talk about your work.
Just say SteveTheWhistler.com.
Exactly.
Is that your final answer? SteveTheWhistler.com.
Yeah, I'm not just whistling Dixie.
Oh. Well, this means we have a steal opportunity from one of our other players. So let's see who the die picks. Excuse me. It came up a 5, which would have been closest to Steve, but that means it goes to Vicki. So Vicki, do you want to try?
Say it again. Drug.
Bank.
Syndrome.
These are tough.
It's the syndrome that got me. I just can't seem to. It's like drug tests, bank holiday, syndrome, China syndrome, China drugs, bank drugs. I'm helping David, I know.
Got it already.
I know.
No. I'm just thinking syndrome. Like a health drug.
You can use the Adam Health free card, Vicki.
Nunsforfun.com.
Nunsforfun.com. Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, I'm afraid that was none of the above. So, David Sheward, do you want to try and steal this one?
Okay, let's see. Drugs plural, right?
No, singular. Drug. Bank. Syndrome.
It's the syndrome that's weird, and I don't think it's China because it doesn't go with the other two.
Then ignore the last one and just give your best guess. Ignore
the other thing is Stockholm, but I don't see how that fits in with drug maker, drug kingpin, drug deal syndrome.
Syndrome's a tough one.
Syndrome. Down syndrome. Down drug, overdose, drug, prescription, drug. What was the second one again? Bank, holiday deposit, overdrawn, draft. I'll say Stockholm. I can't think of anything else.
Well, that was a bitter answer. I was hoping for something more Swede. Sorry, that's terrible. I know it was terrible. So here's the deal. Oh my God, I thought you'd get this one. What are we doing in Afghanistan?
Well,
Withdrawal.
There you go.
What's a withdrawal syndrome?
Withdrawal syndrome, when you're on drugs and you have to...
I thought that was a symptom, not a syndrome.
Well, did I screw that up?
Isn't it symptom, not syndrome? Withdrawal symptums?
I think they're both, but let me see. No, it's a syndrome. Syndrome.
I thought it was symptoms.
You can have withdrawal symptoms, but you also have withdrawal syndrome.
Really?
That's a good one, Dave. You put a good one.
Very good. Very good.
Well, thank you. So, all right, nobody got that one. We're still in a 4-2 game with David Sheward leading. But here's the deal. This is now, we go into our third round. So it's really anybody's game. And David Sheward, though, now you get to build on your lead.
All right.
And you get another 3 clues in the news. Here we go.
Wow, you went overboard with them. Okay.
Well, there are 3, because there's one each for everybody. All right, I can do that. So here's the deal.
It was withdrawal, right?
It was with withdrawal, drug withdrawal, bank withdrawal. Okay, so here's the deal. 3 clues in the news. David Sheward.
Oh, no, not again.
Thank you there. Thank you. Here's the words. Dead. In. White.
White?
White.
QU spelled it.
What? Dead. In. White.
And the in is INN or
No. I-N. I'll give you that.
IN.
Right.
Dead in white.
Yes.
White like the color.
It's not Christmas because I don't know about Dead Christmas.
That's a terrible horror film. Yeah.
Yeah, Dead Christmas. God rest ye merry dead men.
They are renting. Yeah.
All right, let's see. Dead in white.
Yes.
Okay, that's not Christmas. Christmas tree, dead tree, Christmas tree, and maybe reconciliation? No. Infrastructure, dead infrastructure? No. I'm just trying to think of things that are in the news.
Of course, yeah.
COVID? No. Dead plants. Dead as a duck. Dead as a doornail. Christmas holiday, Christmas goose, Christmas turkey.
David, I will remind you that the words are dead in white.
Oh, white. Okay, I got Christmas. Okay, white.
On the brain, yeah.
Dead white meat. That's a movie with James Brown.
Or a really bad porn film. Okay, yeah.
Dead white meat. I don't know. Sink.
Oh, is that your?
Yeah, it's my final answer. Sink. I can't think of anything else.
Well, I would pump you for the answer, but I don't want to force it. No, sink is not the correct answer. I'm sorry.
I thought in sync, SYN.
Oh, sink, SYNC. Well, but no.
Okay.
Roll the die. Finally, this is the first time we come up with a 6 in the whole game. 6 is closer to Steve the Whistler Herbst. So, Steve, do you have a shot on this one?
Oh, not really.
Oh.
You ain't just whistling Dixie, brother.
There we go.
As they used to say in the cartoons.
I'm still embarrassed from the last one because I worked for 5.5 years in substance abuse treatment.
Oh,
that's right. Uh-oh.
So maybe redeem yourself with this one, Steve, and just think simply. Dead.
Yeah, but Steve never
white.
had this this question type before.
So that's true. It's true.
Yeah.
And David Sheward missed it, so yeah.
Far into my ken.
Everybody has an off day, Say them again.
I got dead in white,
And in.
Dead in
Dead
white.
in white, yeah.
And this is coming up with a word that's in the news?
Yes. Something connected to something that's you read about in the newspapers this past week.
Anything.
True.
Injection.
Is that your final answer?
It's my only answer.
Well, I don't want to needle you about that, but that is not the correct answer. So the question now could be...
I got the point.
God. I'm glad you took the plunger, though. So here's the deal, Vicki. You want to try this one?
Yeah, I can try it. That doesn't... I have been sitting here thinking, like David, I'm thinking, what's in the news? The booster, the infrastructure, Like it's crazy. It's that white noise, dead noise. But then in noise doesn't matter. That doesn't seem to, it doesn't count. That's what I was thinking of. Planes, in planes, planes in, dead planes. I don't know. I'm gonna say noise, even though I know it's wrong. Nunsforfun.com.
Well, a shout out to you, Vicki Quade, to see that's my noise. But no. Oh, I beat you again.
What
And
is
I know
it?
this one was really tough. But it's something that you guys, I'm assuming, certainly David and Steve, you're experiencing it right now and for the past 3 days. I assume you might be experiencing it in Chicago because 2/3 of America
Oh yeah.
over the past few days has been experiencing
Heat.
Heat.
Dead heat, white heat,
in heat.
in heat.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough
Yeah,
one. Tough one.
exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's also a good one.
In
Yeah.
heat?
They're good when you figure, or when you're
In
even.
heat.
Yeah.
Like when an animal is ready to go at it sexually.
In
Well,
heat.
you've never-
Oh my God! What's happening to your
like the
show?
sheep that you were talking about before. Is like,
Or the beaver, gorilla.
well, beavers. Yeah, we've been skirting the whole. Yeah, and you
Fortunately,
do
none of those animals. Fortunately, none of those animals are in heat at the same time. So
that would be. Yeah.
And Vicky, looking at your background there, I thought you might be able to wing it.
uh,
Oh, Lordy.
oh, Mr. Peabody.
Yeah, really.
We're more than halfway through the quiz, but we're not done yet. Ricky's playing. All right, let's move on. We're in the third round, and we have a question now that goes directly to Vicki Quade, who, by the way, is still 2 points away from tying David Sheward. It is still anybody's
So hard.
vote. So here we go. This is not a 3 clues in the news. This is a multiple choice for Vicki. Oh, I like this one. The year was 1925.
Okay.
Completed today in California, just west of Yosemite, is a hydroelectric plant connected to a reservoir and dam. All 3 continue to this day. But what is the nickname, or really the name, of the plant? Is it A, the Tea Kettle Junction Electric House, B, the Hetchy Moccasin Powerhouse, C, the Forks of Salmon Siskiyou Plant, or D, the Badwater Basin Earp Dam and Plant?
Earp?
Like Wyatt, like EARP, Earp Dam and Plant.
What was the second one?
The second one was the Hetchy Moccasin Powerhouse.
I'm going to say it's that one.
Any particular reason?
He's like, what the heck?
Well, they had the word moccasin in it. I figured it's, Native American lands. They may have named it for something like that.
So is that your final answer?
It is my final answer.
Well, I'm going to read the clues again just because I spent so long writing them. There was the Tea Kettle Junction Electric House, the Forks of Salmon Siskiyou Plant, the Badwater Basin Earp Dam and Plant, but as Vicki wisely noticed, yes, there's an Indian connection. It is the Moccasin Dam, which is part of the Hetchy Valley and Reservoir in California. Vicki Quade, you got 2 points on the board. You are tied with David Sheward for the lead. Woo! Yeah, such excitement.
That one was damn tough.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Even Mr. Peabody won't work on that one.
Yeah.
I don't think that answer held water, though.
David needs to have a new reaction that will address these puns.
Cry me a river, Steve,
Oh,
oh dear.
okay. All right, here we go. We have one more question in round 3, so we might actually wind up needing the tiebreaker, but it all depends. See, Steve is only 2 points away from tying the 2 of you, so he could tie it up, making a 3-way tie. Who knows what can happen with this question? Oh, I'm excited. Oh,
was it D?
The last one was B, the Hetchy Moccasin Powerhouse.
B as in boy?
B as in boy.
Okay.
The hedgy
I
moccasin.
score for Cynthia. When she gets it right, I give her a happy. When she gets it sad,
Oh.
I give her a tear.
How did she do on that one?
She got a D.
No.
Yeah, she did get withdrawal.
Well,
Oh,
he was coming
that
off.
was a tough one.
That was a tough one. Good for her.
Here we go. We have a question now directly to Steve the Whistler. It's a multiple choice. 1938 was the year. Only months before World War II, the BBC broadcast its first ever movie, a horror film, The Student of Prague.
The what?
The Student of Prague.
Of Prague?
Prague, like in Czechoslovakia,
Yeah.
Directed by Artur Robison, it was a 1935 remake of a story already done in the silent era twice. Which of these is true about Prague? A, its most popular beer is actually brewed in Milwaukee.
Oh, come on.
B, to mark what would have been Stan Laurel's 100th birthday, 8 Czech artists carried the piano across the Charles Bridge. C, since 1975, a wall on a small Prague street has been filled with graffiti dedicated to Frank Zappa. Or D, an exact replica of the Prague clock was built in Seoul, South Korea.
These are too involved, David.
Well, thank you, dear. Which of these is true about Prague?
Oh, only one of those is true.
Only one of those is true.
Oh.
All the others are false. And this is Steve's question.
Yeah, I know. I was just wondering.
No, I wanted to make that clear. Cool.
Can I hear those choices again?
Sure. So here's the deal. One of these is true about Prague, Czech Republic, or Czechoslovakia. A, its most popular beer is actually brewed in Milwaukee. B, to mark what would have been Stan Laurel's 100th birthday, 8 Czech artists carried a piano across the Charles Bridge. C, since 1975, a wall on a small Prague street has been filled with graffiti dedicated to Frank Zappa. Or D, an exact replica of the Prague clock was built in Seoul, South Korea.
I'm going to say B.
You're going to say the Stan Laurel birthday with the piano across the bridge. Correct. Final answer?
Yeah.
Well, I'm afraid you don't have the key to that answer. Get piano.
Oh.
So, keys to. Anywho, I'm going to roll the die. We have a steal opportunity here. We come up with a number 3. 3 is the number of David Sheward. So, oh boy, David, you're in a tie.
So which of these 3 things about the city of Prague is true?
Right. 2 of them are false. 1 of them is true.
And what are my choices?
A, its most popular beer is actually brewed in Milwaukee. C, since 1975, a wall on a small Prague street has been filled with graffiti dedicated to Frank Zappa. Or D, an exact replica of the Prague clock was built in Seoul, South Korea.
All of those sound obscure and crazy enough to be true, but it's only one of them. So, So it's Frank Zappa, the clock, or
The beer.
what was the
Beer.
other? The beer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it could be. I'm not a beer drinker, so I don't know. I mean, I would think that Europeans would prefer European beer. And I don't know if the Frank Zappa thing is just crazy enough to be true, and the clock in Seoul, South Korea. I'll say the clock in South Korea.
And you're saying that is true.
Yeah, I'll say that's true.
Okay, and that, by the way, is letter D. So that's your final answer.
Oh, okay.
What time is it? It's time for David Sheward to get the right answer, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh.
They actually built a replica. It's on a cafe in Seoul, South Korea, of the famous Prague clock, that mechanized clock that they've got there. So, oh my God, David Sheward with 2 more points. Guess what that means?
Is he winning?
He's the winner.
He's the winner. He just won the game. David Sheward, the champion. I do want to mention a couple of things. First of all, don't go away because we have our tiebreaker anyway. And here's the deal. I don't I fool you with the Frank Zappa thing, because Frank Zappa was precious to the folks in Prague, and he was actually a friend of Václav Havel.
Why?
Because his music influenced a big band there during like the Russian oppression. There was an underground band called the Plastic People of the Universe.
Oh,
Tremendously influenced by Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention.
that's in Tom Stoppard's play, Rock and Roll.
Right, exactly. So, but there is a wall in that has been since 1980 in Prague, and it's been dedicated to paintings and pictures and graffiti of John Lennon.
Oh,
So when they started, and people they painted over it, and now it's more of a political left-wing wall. But for a while, they just left it alone with John Lennon and Beatles stuff.
But eventually they decided you can't Beatle that.
oh, Bullwinkle.
There's no response.
Yeah, there's nothing. There's no by George. There isn't. All right.
It's time for a commercial, Rocky.
Yeah, so Ringo the Bell.
Once we pull a gerbil out of the ass. No, I don't know.
Our special guest today is Richard Gere.
I'm glad you know. If I make those jokes, it's offensive. If you make them, David, I'm
It's still offensive.
Yeah.
If Bullwinkle makes them, maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you say Richard Deere?
Richard Gere.
Well, you never heard the
Because that looks like a moose to me.
well.
Yes,
That's what he said.
Oh, Cynthia said next time for sure, Rocky.
Well, we don't let Bullwinkle play the quiz because he has all the antlers. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lefkowitz.
You're very welcome. So let's do our tiebreaker. We have it's one more question. It doesn't mean anything. It's not for points. It's just because David has won the game. But since I go through the terrible toil and trouble of writing these things, and since they're fun to ask and answer, let's see if we can get the answer. So here's how we do it, Steve. I read the question once, and then you guys write the answer on a piece of paper. Then I'll read the question again. I'll give a 3, 2, 1 countdown, and then when I say 1, you hold up your written answers to the camera. This way it's not all shouting at once, and we figure out who won and who didn't. So, are you all ready for the tiebreaker?
Yes.
Here we go. Okay. The year was 1928. Born today in Rome is this director, whose lesser-known films include 1986's Summer Night with Greek profile, almond eyes, and a scent of basil, 1996's The Blue-Collar Worker and the Hairdresser in a Whirl of Sex and Politics, and 2004's 2004's Too Much Romance, It's Time for Stuffed Peppers. Name that director.
1928?
Born in 1928.
In Rome.
In Rome.
In Rome.
Rome.
And I will even give the hint, since you're looking a little askance, still alive.
Still alive?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
No
Do
idea.
we all have answers? Do we all? So I'm going to read the question again, and when I give a 3, 2, 1, you just hold up right to that little eye of your computer. So here we go. The year was 1928. Born today in Rome is this director whose lesser-known films include 1986's Summer Night with Greek profile, almond eyes, and scent of basil, 1996's The Blue-Collar Worker and the Hairdresser in a Whirl of Sex and Politics. That's kind of the biggest clue of them all. And 2004's Too Much Romance, It's Time for Stuffed Peppers.
I love that.
Name that director. 3, 2, 1. I can see
David, is it
Vicki.
my nonna? It's my nonna, right?
I see Lena Wertmuller from David Sheward. Can you read yours, Vicki? I can't see it, actually.
Nunsforfun.com.
and Steve, I can't. What did you write?
Victoria De Sica.
Great answer.
Ooh.
But he passed away many, many years ago. But David
Yeah,
Sheward,
alive.
what gave it to you? How did you know it was Lena Wertmuller?
Because she had a penchant for long titles. I think there was one she did with Madonna and or she did. No, Madonna did the remake of Swept Away, I think.
Right.
Vincent D'Onofrio. But I think she Swept Away, or there was one movie she did with a long title, like Swept Away by Our Usual
Destiny,
something.
Yeah. And she's also Seven Beauties was her thing, Love and Anarchy, sex and politics mixed together, and Marx and on some level Marxist viewpoint. So I thought maybe the world.
She was really hot for a couple of years on the international scene, and then she kind of faded away.
Yeah. Well, she kept making movies up until about the mid 2000s, and they just didn't really make much of a splash. They were entering in Cannes and places like that. But no, her moment was during Swept Away, and one of my favorite films of all time, Seven Beauties.
I think the first woman to be directed. I think the first or the second woman to be nominated for Best Director at the Oscars.
Yeah. Wow. So I loved a couple of her films, and so David Sheward, you would have won anyway, even before the tiebreaker. So you got it. You got the tiebreaker.
Remember we said why doesn't he go on Jeopardy or why doesn't he?
Yeah, David Sheward. We're going to ask you. We figure, have you ever tried to get on?
No, I guess I could.
Answer every question with what? What is?
Right.
What is?
I suppose I could try it. I think I would do okay, but there's a lot of other factors, and I do watch it, but I don't always win. When I watch it.
No, I would guess not. You don't always win.
No.
I've had friends who have been on that show, and they say the clicker is the
you have to
thing.
Yeah, because you have to beat. It's not just knowing the answer. It's sort of like
you got to get in.
Can't click early because if you click before the question's done, you're locked out. It doesn't count.
Yeah, the current champion has been on like for 3 weeks running.
Yeah. He's made $500,000. Yeah,
and I see how he does it. He goes to the biggest money questions right away in all the categories.
That was Ken
Jennings. But when he gets the Daily Double, he only bets small. He doesn't like James Holzhauer would bet the whole thing.
But he's so far ahead of everybody else that.
But he could bet more.
Well, he's not going to risk. I mean, not risk not coming back the next day. So if he's
his strategy is to build up a lead as fast as possible.
What do we think about the new Jeopardy hosts?
It's weird. I mean, I don't. It just sounds weird that they would pick the executive producer.
I know.
What was the first one they used? If they were going to use him, why did they do all that other stuff?
So I don't know. The appearance, it's like, and I've never heard of him. I don't think he's particularly vibrant or interesting or anything.
Right. Which you don't necessarily want in a game show host. I mean, when Alex Trebek started doing Jeopardy, he had done High Rollers. He was just like a guy.
And the Wizard of Odds. He had done a lot of game shows before that.
Yeah. So
Pat Sajak, kind of boring and neutral.
Pat Sajak. So there is a level of neutrality.
Can they hold the microphone? Can they read the question?
Exactly.
Yeah, basically.
You don't have to be too entertaining.
Even LeVar Burton did when he was like, this is LeVar Burton's face for the whole thing. Like,
but I liked Mia Bialik.
Well, she's going to be the nighttime host and the specials host. Yeah. So everybody said she was really, really good.
Yeah.
So Mia Bialik, and I like Ken Jennings. I don't know why they didn't give it to him. I thought he would have been great.
He wrote a song about
He's got that other show.
What other show? What?
He's got it.
The Chase.
The Chase.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. Oh, so he's another game show thing, or what is it?
It's another game show. It's on ABC. It's where it was a British show at first, where this guy is like supposed to be a trivia expert, and normal people, quote unquote, normal people challenge him,
and so it has the Jeopardy champions.
Right. It has, and now they have them in a room commenting on how the people are doing, which is kind of lame.
Oh. Well, mostly it's how so there's 4 of them. It's Ken Jennings, Holzhauer, James Holzhauer. I forget the other 2. It's one of the guys who won a lot of money.
And the British guy.
The British guy. But when they make comments, it's mostly about the host that's challenging the normal people. Uh-huh. Like they like to give them grief.
Oh, I wouldn't have bet that much, or I wouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
You should have gotten that.
Since we have him this week, Steve, what was the best part of going on to tell the truth? because he was just a few weeks ago. They aired Steve's appearance on the new version of To Tell the Truth, which I had no idea had been running for like 3 years already. So
Now
Steve,
David, now it's called Be a Politician.
well, no, was it the plane ride? Was it just being up there? What was it?
Definitely not the plane ride. They
Well,
flew
yeah,
me out.
right.
They flew me out to Hollywood, but I was seated in a row with somebody who kept spilling everything and getting the liquid on my shoes and so forth. So no, it was definitely not the plane ride. But I mean, aside from the opportunity to get together with some friends that I haven't seen in years who live out in L.A.
Yeah.
I don't. Do you remember a TV show called Mr. Belvedere?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So the woman who was the female lead in that show, Eileen Graff,
Uh-huh.
who was a Broadway star, she was in Grease and I Love My Wife and then Mr. Belvedere and whatever. Eileen and I grew up together. Her father was my dad's best friend, so I got to see her for the first time in a long, long time. She's going to be at Feinstein's 54 Below in December, by the way.
Oh gosh! Wow,
Yeah,
Eileen Graff. I'm okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
she's Randy Graff's cousin, Todd Graff's sister.
got it.
If those names mean anything, I'm
Yeah.
Sure.
guessing Dave
Sure.
knows the names.
Tony winner Randy Graff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Jerry Graff was there, Eileen's father, and he was my dad's best friend and my godfather. And I once said to Jerry, I said, "What do you think would have happened if I grew up in your family?" And he said, "You'd be in the business."
Yeah.
But in terms of being on the show, um, the two things that stand out the most in my mind was Anthony Anderson coming over and shaking my hand and saying, "You're good." And then getting to do my whistling demonstration to prove that I was the Hall of Fame whistler.
What about Mama? Did you like meeting her?
I loved meeting Mama Doris. In fact, I've seen episodes where she wasn't there that night, and
Yeah.
I'd say to my wife, I said, "Boy, I hope Mama Doris is there that night." And at the end of the segment, when I have to stand up and say I'm the one, I introduced myself. Mama Doris says, "I want to hear it. I want to hear it." And Anthony Anderson says, "You're gonna hear. You're gonna hear it." And Steve, take this, center stage, and I did the demo. So I actually gave Mama Doris and Anthony Anderson autographed copies of my CD,
Oh,
Broadway and Beyond, which Dave, you might be interested. It has 15 Broadway show tunes and Danny Boy on it. And any event, that was something I was looking forward to being able to do. To hand Mama Doris one of my CDs.
Well, you did give her one. You got one
I
tag.
gave her one. I gave Anthony Anderson one. I gave the producer that I had almost daily phone conversations with before going out there.
Now, here's what I wanted to ask. Oh, sorry. No, Vicki, go ahead.
oh, no. I was going to say, what do they do afterwards? Do they have a party? Do they take you guys all out? Or they basically
They-
open the door and say, "Get out"?
They at the very end of the show, they have everybody who was on, including the other. They have several segments.
Yeah.
The one before the first segment that I was in, and I was in two segments that night. Was the original Funky Bunch dancer.
Along with Marky Mark.
It's
Yeah.
funny, so you had you had 1, 2, and 3. All of them were bald, and Joel McHale, who was one of the three celebrities, when they said, well, he says, "I know it's the bald guy."
Ba-dum-bum.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
let me. One last thing also I want to know, Steve, because a friend of mine who's been on this program many times, Jeff Goodman, one of his crowning moments, he always loved The Price is Right, and he finally got on to The Price is Right as a contestant. And he says, what people don't even realize when they're watching at home, it's not just about playing a game. You get up there, and it's like being in Vegas times 12. There's lights, there's noise, there's music. It's just freaking nuts. People at home don't even realize just how much sensory overload is hitting these people.
Oh, wow.
Was To Tell the Truth like that, or a little more like you could pay
Well,
attention?
I've had people ask me about that, and my answer is I've been on stage in front of audiences since I was 7 years old, so it really didn't faze me. I was very focused on how I answered the questions. I didn't want to give too much information, don't give too much away, and like that. there was an audience there, not a very big audience, and COVID and all, and they were like in the dark behind the lights and the cameras. So I really wasn't terribly aware of them. I was really focused on the questions that were being asked of me, what the other two people were saying when in the first segment where there were three of us, and then wanting to answer the questions the best possible way I can, to not give away too much, but be faithful to what was required.
If people want to see Steve the Whistler Herbst, his appearance, or at least part of it, they can go to
they can go to my website, stevethewhistler.com, and there is a link to the To Tell the Truth segment.
Right.
And there's also a link to samples of my CD, and there are videos of like the performance I did in my debut in Town Hall here in New York, and that number I did at Feinstein's 54 Below with a Broadway star. We did a duet, the song "Anyone Can Whistle." She was singing it, and I was whistling, with her. Leanne Marie Dobbs.
Okay, cool.
Who's very talented and just such a lovely woman. And a lot of other information and sound samples of different songs that I've done.
And SteveTheWhistler.com. Now, speaking of websites, David Sheward, you write for a couple of different places. You write for Cultural Daily and TheaterLife.com. You do theater. So did you write a review of Merry Wives at the
at Central Park?
Right, at Central Park, right? And they're up there. They're readable at those. Have you done anything for the David Desk, your blog?
I've been doing news updates because there's been a lot of news lately, like that. I just on Broadway news for. West Side Story is not coming back, is not going to reopen. Funny Girl is definitely coming in the spring with Beanie Feldstein.
What a name. Beanie Feldstein. You're doing my Inside Broadway segment literally as we speak. So yeah, keep on. So yeah.
And as I said earlier, the play Passover is opening, and it's not about a Seder.
Unfortunately, no.
Is opening at the August Wilson Theater next Sunday, so I'm seeing it on Thursday, and we'll have a review of that. And I've also on the David Desk blog have been putting up on the Broadway Remembered Facebook group. People have been talking about their memories since Broadway isn't back yet, so I am writing blogs about memorable shows that I've seen in different categories.
So
here are all the summer stock productions I can remember. Here are the out-of-town tryouts that they used to do before they get to Broadway when they were in Philly, which is where I grew up. And I just wrote a segment on shows I saw in London, the 5 times I've been to London. And I'm working on another one of all the Tennessee Williams productions I've seen on stage and screen. Because I just read John Lahr's biography of Tennessee Williams, which is fascinating.
So, all of that at thedaviddesk.com. Also do check out culturaldaily.com and Theater Life. And Vicki Quade, don't want to leave out nunsforfun.com so people can buy tickets to see you live and in person in just a couple of weeks now.
Right.
At the Greenhouse Theater in Chicago, doing Late Night Catechism, and then followed by the Halloween Ghost something.
Holy Ghost Bingo.
Holy Ghost Bingo, and then Christmas Bingo as well. Are any of your performances, are you selling streams of them, or is that whole stream?
We did sell streaming for a year. We did 6 performances. I filmed and streamed them, but I think people are done with streaming. I mean, even though the Delta variant is coming here and growing, I think people just want to get out. I've gone to several openings and shows in the past couple of weeks, and they've been pretty packed.
Oh, well, knock wood, that will keep on up. However, we have to do it, or whatever curtailments we have to do in order to make that happen. But speaking of getting out, we have to get out of this segment, but not before thanking so much David Sheward, Vicki Quade, and Steve the Whistler Herbst. I wish you much music and theater and success and good things and health.
And Lena Miller.
What? And
Lena Burtmiller.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, do I have one last dad joke from Steve to take us out of this?
Oh, please.
Dad joke?
A dad joke about movies, but I'll pick a topic. You seem to have one ready.
The only thing I was thinking is if we had a tie, we could have seen how much fun a three-way would be.
Well, I made that joke before, so no fair stealing. That's plagiarism, my friend. Guys, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us on Dave's Gone By. I've got to let you go individually, so have a wonderful week, and hope to see you soon.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
As Rosemary would say on the Hollywood Squares, she would do this.
That's right, the salute. Salute to you too, David Sheward. And congratulations on your win.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
And bye-bye. Thank you so much. Vicki Quade in the and out of the Daverhood on the 811th. There it is, 811 episodes of Dave's Gone By. At some point, we're just going to stop doing Dave's Gone By and just call it Today Yesterday. Just go on and on, but there's so much fun. And it's so great to have great people being on the program, especially, a couple of these things were fairly last minute. Not knowing whether our beloved Leslie Hoban Blake would be on the show, and I had to, find something for that. And then, of course, our intended guest for the program just kind of disappearing without word. I'll check my email again. Let me see if I have any email from this. No, nothing. The guy who was.
That happens. Don't be vicious.
Am I being vicious?
Yes.
I could be vicious, but okay. So what happened? Instead, we had the opportunity to have Steve Herbst back in the Daverhood, answering questions, talking about his appearance on To Tell the Truth. And I apologize for the dad jokes, but I'm happy he made them, because otherwise I'd be making them. He spared me from getting a bunch of Mr. Peabodys. Yeah. So anyway, it is 20 to 12 Eastern Time in the Daverhood. And here I thought, how am I going to fill the show without our intended guest? How am I going to fill 3 hours?
You could fill it out with yourself whistling and looking at yourself in the mirror.
Yes, I could. I'm spinning. Joyce picked this collar up like this on me. I'm digging it. I'm kind of like, whoa.
Right, yeah, you're like Miami, because we saw those drug shows about heist. It's like Miami Vice.
I feel like Val Kilmer when he still had a throat.
Like, no, you're like Miami Vice. They used to do that.
Yeah. No, I look nothing like Crocker
or
like
Tubbs.
Tubbs.
And Crockett.
Yeah. Anywho.
You're like a tub and a crock.
That's close. Yes. I'm built like both a tub and a crock pot. I'm crock and tub.
I don't know why Cynthia said we're 20 to 9.
Don't know how long ago she could have been reacting to something else. Anywho. They're out in Vegas. It's 20 to 9 Pacific time. So, yeah, but in Eastern time, it is almost 11:45 to 811th episode of Dave's Gone By. I want to give a shout out. I got to be careful about this now, because I got a warning from the people at the at Altice, at Public Access, where you can watch Dave's Gone By every Monday morning, early morning, 1 a.m. on Channel 20, or Tuesday morning, 4 a.m. on Channel 20. We just random hour-long excerpts of Dave's Gone By. So if you just literally happen to be watching, I will tell you. What happened, we take just like hour-long snippets of the program, because as you know, the program's 3 or 3.5 hours long, and just chop them up, throw them on the air, just to see if anybody ends up watching the show who isn't finding us from Facebook, who isn't watching us on davesgoneby.com or archive.org, or listening to us as a podcast from castbox.fm, or finding us on YouTube on our Dave's Gone By channel. So we, so we take these things and we throw them up just to get on public access, just to get on TV, because, tens of thousands of people still have cable TV for some reason. And then I was asking the guy there about, next season, and submitting for next season, getting the show on it. And he said, oh, by the way, be careful, you're going to have a problem, because, you're doing like sort of an advertisement. Like, what advertisement I'm doing? And every week, and it's not every week on the hour-long segment, but every once in a while, part of that will be me talking up Hewlett Minuteman Press, the Copy Kings of Broadway. So I can't make it a commercial thing. They have been sponsoring the show since we did the very first episode of the program on on terrestrial radio in 2002. Hewlett Minuteman Press has been with us. So what can I tell you? I can't tell you that you get a discount if you mention the show if you go there. I'm not going to give you their phone number, although they're easy enough to Google and to find. I just want to thank them. I want to thank them for all these years and continuing to support this show. It's no problem if I mention them on Facebook, but apparently every platform has its thing where they try to stick it to you and they try to make your life more difficult. If I play music, they'll mute me or they'll block the episode on YouTube or on Facebook, so I can't play copyrighted music, even though I don't make a dime from it. And now if I'm on cable TV, I guess you probably could. I probably have a copyright issue there with music as well.
Yeah.
But can't do anything that even approaches remotely a commercial. I always thought sponsorship is fine. That's how public television gets away with it. We're sponsored by our friends at the Kresge Foundation.
About, using their services and stuff.
Right. So I'm just going to say thank you to the folks at Hewlett Minuteman Press, and leave it at that.
Yeah, that's good enough.
Just mention them. Hewlett Minuteman Press in Hewlett, Long Island. You can do the rest. Boom. Fine. Are you okay with me, Altice? Right? Yeah. You won't. Well, it was ESPN's fault. I couldn't even watch the proper 4th of July hot dog eating contest without the feed being broken for half the thing, and then whatever my mom paying like $200-something a month to get fucking cable TV, and can't even get something I actually want to watch. But no, Altice. Oh, I won't mention why you should go to Hewlett Minuteman Press. Okay, we're good. I got so much anger today. It's good. It feels good. Anywho, but do watch us Mondays at 1 a.m. Like early Monday morning on Channel 20, or Tuesdays at 4 a.m. This is Eastern Time. And really, we're only going to get it in Nassau County. It's on Altice Cablevision, Channel 20, Tuesdays 4 a.m. 2 different episodes of Dave's Gone By, or excerpts of episodes of Dave's Gone By. Okay. What else? We have still stuff coming up. We have our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. We have, since we've just been talking to David Sheward, and he was basically giving away most of our Inside Broadway segment, let's do a little bit of Broadway news, a little bit of Broadway information, just because I'm a theater critic, an actor, an award-winning playwright. Let's have a little bit of, where is it? It's, where's my Inside Broadway theme? Here it is. Inside Broadway, a look at theater on and off Broadway and beyond. Brought to you by Total Theater and Performing Arts Insider. Curtain going up. Well, yes, Inside Broadway we go. We do this most weeks here on Dave's Gone By. And so David Sheward kind of gave away the game with 2 of our big stories this week of what's happening or what will be happening on Broadway soon. Except this won't be happening. As David mentioned, there was this big Broadway revival, not to be confused with the upcoming Steven Spielberg major movie revival of West Side Story, the classic Leonard Bernstein, Stephen Sondheim, and Arthur Lawrence musical about gangs in New York. There's also been a rather modernized Broadway revival that opened about 2 years ago, was doing all right at the box office, not wonderfully. The reviews were all over the map because the director, I think it's pronounced Ivo Van Hove, took some very different approaches with it, with the staging of it, new choreography. They weren't doing Jerome Robbins, so they put it up there, and at the very least, it was certainly something to talk about. Certain scenes worked very well, certain scenes not so well. I'm glad I got to see it. Well, like every other show on Broadway at the time, it closed in March because of the COVID pandemic and all of Broadway being shut down. And like several shows, one of the big money men in there was Scott Rudin, the guy who is just like anathema in the Broadway community now for his behavior. Well, most of Scott Rudin's, or all of Scott Rudin's other Broadway shows that were running are coming back up. To Kill a Mockingbird is coming back up, and so are the other ones he had money in. But this one was a little more ticklish. It was not doing so wonderfully at the box office. It had him as lead producer, has a big cast. It was an expensive show to do. So they've been waiting and figuring out how do we get this one back up. All the other Broadway shows are back up, or will be by mid-September, late September, early October. But West Side Story was in this relentless holding pattern. It's not going to reopen. So it ran only about 21 performances on Broadway after it opened 2 years ago. Not long enough also to be considered for the Tony Awards this year. So any marketing, any push that it might have gotten from winning a Tony or 2 or 3, that wasn't going to happen. And so Kay Horton, who was one of the producers on West Side Story, she's just going to put all her energies into the upcoming revival of The Music Man instead. So West rests. There won't be the revival of West Side Story will not be coming back to Broadway. Now, as David also mentioned, however, for people, West Side Story didn't really go away. Arthur Lawrence staged a revival of it about 15 years ago. It hasn't been that far out of the public consciousness. But a show that really hasn't been on New York stages in decade after decade. It had a big hit movie in, I guess it was the late 60s, early 70s, with Barbra Streisand, but has really been kind of forgotten ever since. It's Funny Girl, the story of Fanny Brice. They've been trying, every decade, there's a rumor of somebody, Idina Menzel was going to do it. They had all these people who were thinking about doing it. They were going to cast them as Fanny Brice. People were almost publicly auditioning to be in I think Lauren Ambrose.
Weren't you on the list?
I was on the list because I make a really cool Fanny Brice. In my man. No, would not be a good Fanny Brice. But guess what? After all this time, Funny Girl will be having a Broadway revival. Musical goes all the way back to 1964 with a book by Isabel Leonard, which is newly being adapted by Harvey Fierstein. Bob Merrill doing the lyrics. Julie Stein did the music on the show. And Michael Mayer will be directing, featuring Beanie Feldstein. I mean, remember when Jews were changing their names so as not to sound Jewish for decades in Hollywood and in the theater and in corporate life? I mean, literally, Ellis Island, Moskowitz became Miller. I mean, just like that. And yet, now we have Beanie Feldstein, who's something of a star. She's in the show Booksmart. She was in the very popular movie Lady Bird and the comedy What We Do in the Shadows, which is this fairly funny comedy vampire film of like vampires living just in suburban London and having their lives. It's cute. Anyway, Beanie Feldstein is going to be in Funny Girl. The plot, of course, is vaudeville comedian Fanny Brice rising as a star, but also meeting the man of her life, who's a rather complicated fellow named Nicky Arnstein, a gambler. Songs in the show. People. Now, why are you laughing, Joyce?
On your show.
If you've seen my play, The Miracle of Long John's, I have a great story about people who need people, and seeing that song in a very, very different context. If you want to read Miracle of Long John's, or there's a YouTube video of me doing it. You can go through there and see the story about people who need people. Also, I'm the Greatest Star. It's Funny Girl. They're targeting an opening date of April 2nd, 2022. So it's almost a year away. And I don't know if this is still the case, but for a while, Rosie O'Donnell was eyeing the role or being announced for the role of Mrs. Brice. I don't know if she's still attached. I don't know if that's still part of it. But anyway, no joke, it's Funny Girl. And now I have to be careful again, because I want to remind you that we get the information for this segment, for Inside Broadway, from this wonderful, important, and quite personal magazine, and it is called Performing Arts Insider, which has been around since 1944. And it's got basically sections on every Broadway show, a calendar listing of off and off Broadway shows. It's got rumors of shows coming to Broadway. It's got lists of what the upcoming awards are. For example, we know that the Tony Awards are going to be at the Winter Garden Theater. They finally chose the place that they're going to do it. It'll be at the Winter Garden Theater on September 26th, broadcast on CBS. So yeah, all that kind of information is in the pages of Performing Arts Insider. How do you get it? I can't tell you. I can't push it. I can't advertise. But you have a computer. You have Google. Performing Arts Insider. Find it and subscribe if you choose. I'm not advertising it. I'm just mentioning. Just saying. Performing Arts Insider. Okay, we move on to a bit more of our Inside Broadway segment. Just got to say a big farewell to Jane Withers, who withered away at the age of 95 last week. She was a child star in the 1930s and 40s. She appeared in a bunch of movies with Shirley Temple, to the point where she was almost as popular as Shirley Temple was at the time. Not that much of a theater Broadway career. Her first musical in 1944. She was in a show called Glad to See You that closed out of town before it even made it to Broadway. She was in the 1956 film Giant, and you best know her from being, in the 1960s and 70s, on TV, Josephine the Plumber in those Comet commercials. Remember her? Maybe not, but Jane Withers. And then there was this weird thing. I don't know how or where this came from, but if you Google her, and this was mentioned in an obituary from a source that I won't mention or shame, I'm like, wait a minute, she was in this show in 1971 called Sure, Sure, Surely, with Shirley Temple, because they were going off the hit of No, No, Nanette, and they thought, let's bring these other stars in, let's do one with Shirley Temple, why not? But as you read this Times article about the show, it becomes more and more ridiculous and more oddly funny with its plotting and the names. And, it takes some time. By the time you get to the end of it, you're like, wait a minute, this could not have been real. And then there's no other information about this show. Nothing on the Internet Broadway database, nothing from Googling anything, not Theater World. So somehow, as maybe a comedy column, back in the early 70s, the New York Times wrote a review of this musical called Sure, Sure, Surely that never existed. I don't know how someone got almost, I don't know what you'd even call it. It's the kind of column that you would find in, The Onion or something like that. But it's in the Times. I don't get it. Anyway, here's from the New York Times review of this musical, Sure, Sure, Surely. Jane Withers plays the villain in the show. Jane, in virtual retirement, save for her TV commercials, plays a berserk lady plumber aboard the ferry, because it takes place on a ship, who resents the fact that Shirley Temple's tap dancing is keeping her awake night after night. Anyway, not true. Didn't happen. And I wrote to this theater website to say, you better check this. This does not sound right. And here's why. They never wrote back to me.
Why was it fake?
How was it fake? How are they finding this in this fake New York Times story, or a real New York Times story that was intentionally comic?
Maybe it was in The Onion.
Maybe. I will say that unlike other child stars, Jane Withers kept her head and she kept her bank account. She did pretty well all of her life. You don't necessarily hear that about Jackie Coogan and some other people. So farewell, 95 years old, not too bad, to Jane Withers, as we pluck the withered fruit of this segment inside Broadway and move on with more of Dave's Gone By.
It's the famous gay white way, where the night is bright as day. Ain't Broadway grand? It's not just a thoroughfare, it's a tingle in the air. Ain't Broadway grand? It's excitement, it's romance, it's all fun and song and dance. This wonderland, you can be a millionaire quicker here than anywhere. Ain't Broadway grand? You audition very well, you're in great form, you can tell. Ain't Broadway grand? As you do your last you take, we'll call you is all they say. Ain't Broadway grand? Then it happens they pick you, and your dream is coming true, just as you planned. And that opening night is here, and the critics rave and cheer. Ain't Broadway grand? And your name's on that marquee, where else would you want to be?
I know where I want to be. I want to be on Dave's Gone By, which I am. It's just after noon Eastern Time here in the Daverhood. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. It is August 14th, 2020.
It's August 14th.
I know, right?
I feel like we went from March 2020
Ha!
to like August 2021.
Kinda. It has felt like, well, think about it. You teach from the same room
Yes.
where you live. You have been doing consulting work from the same room where you have been writing your book from
I
the
have
same.
to do
We eat
a webinar on September 10th, right? I'm hosting it from right where I
right
live.
from where. So of course everything has just run into each other time wise. I've at least I have a job. I've had jobs where I've had to physically go out and be
Job.
somewhere else all day. And luckily I work with really nice people, and I don't mind. Sometimes I actually enjoy going.
As long as you have the Gugan, life is good.
Oh.
It's the Gugan that keeps people together.
I want to show that picture, but I probably
No, you
shouldn't.
can't. You have to ask. Why don't you ask and see? We'll talk about it next time.
We have a recent employee who joined where I work. He's a really nice guy. Born in China. He's so he has a strong Chinese accent, but he's very good guy, very knowledgeable about technical things, and also though he is, he's fanatical about certain things in the office. He's very, very conscious of toner and how much toner costs, because he's got to figure out how much toner all these buildings have and how much we have to, how much cyan do we actually need? And
We don't need cyans overrated.
do you need authentic HP cartridges, or can you save a lot of money? Just be more careful with these fake ones. But if they leak, there's a way to clean them. Okay, fine. I mean, he's like toner, and because he deals with equipment that's been used by kindergartners, second graders, fifth graders. So after a year of these kids abusing these things at home, they're just like, oh, God, and they have to be reused, right? They have to go back the following year into the next grade.
Hold on.
Yeah, sure. What's up? Show me. Oh, right. Yes, thank you. Here's an example.
Ow.
We're going to throw these things out, but so these aren't actually too bad. But you can see they put stickers on them, so the kids have like iPads. Devices in these things. Third graders, they're home with iPads that the school district gives them, right? And so you won't give a 9-year-old just a device. You give it to them in a case. But look at all the yuck and the fingerprints and the more than anything, it's just sticky, awful. Because rightfully so, they put stickers with their names on them, the grade, the homeroom teacher, and stuff like that. So it comes back looking like this. This is why we obsolete these things. But he's saying, why do we have to keep buying these new things? Well, we say, because this one has a little bit of a crack in the side. But why do we have to obsolete this? All we have to do is clean them. And it's like, yeah, how are you going to clean? With soap and water? It's sticky. It's horrible. How do you hand this to a kid and say, here, start your new school year with this?
Ew.
It's like when people would return back in the day, when I was growing up, if you got a textbook, you put your name on the inside of the cover of the textbook in the special slot, and then you gave it back at the end of the year. So you were responsible. You put a book cover on the book, and you didn't write in it, you didn't highlight, you didn't underline.
That was one of my summer jobs in high school. I helped with the textbook distribution.
Yeah.
And cleanup, yeah.
And cleanup. Because there was always going to be the spine broke. How did it break? I don't know. It broke. How come this whole paragraph is underlined? So, right? So these things, though, normal wear and tear. These are going to get ookie and gookie. Kids are eating, they're working, you're touching. So the guy that I work with is very, very like, we need Goo Gone. We get bottles of Goo Gone.
Don't mention the name. It could be a commercial. Product to remove sticky things.
Product to remove sticky things. No, but it's not funny unless we mention that it's Goo Gone. I'm not doing a commercial for that. I'm just telling you that he's obsessed with this stuff because to him, it's like you can take this and you get off like 80% of this. And you can't make it look brand new, but it's a lot closer to, new-ish. This was kind of not in the great shape, but if a bit of Goo Gone and so, he was hawking me and hawking the boss, and finally it's like, okay, we're doing a Staples order. And we got like 5 bottles of Goo Gone in the closet. And he was thrilled. And he sits there all day when he's not having to do a bunch of other more important stuff. He's like, oh, I get to clean. And he's like, oh, Goo Gone, so good. So I know it sounds like I'm being racist, but I'm not exaggerating the accenting. I'm not exaggerating his love of toner and of Goo Gone. It's become just a moment of joy for me. Because he looks so happy. It's kind of like when I talk about the theater or I do, radio or something like that. Or if I get a new potato in the mail, there's a certain glow that comes upon me, a certain joy. It's like, new potato. For him, it's toner and Goo Gone, and God bless him. What was that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear. What's this? What's this that came in the mail for Dave this week? I wonder what it could be.
I hope it's a revolver.
Thank you, darling. Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, behold, arriving in the Lefkowitz and Weil household.
It's not it's not my house.
Well, the household is Lefkowitz, so here, look.
Ain't mine, baby. It's not mine, baby.
Hi! It's nice to be out of that little packaging there after all this time. Thanks for waiting. Well, I wanted you to make a debut.
Like cigarettes?
No, he has no smell. He's actually, sometimes we get them, they're perfumey or smoky. This one, he's in lovely condition.
He's a little chunky.
He's got his tag's a little bit faded, but he's got the tag. His ribbon is in beautiful condition. Look at that pink.
Oh, I think it's very shiny.
He's got his little ass tag. That's quite beautiful.
That's a new ribbon. That's not I don't think it came with it.
Well, it looks perfect. It's a fabulous ribbon. His eyes are in wonderful condition, like little heart-shaped eyes there. His nice full. Well, this arm is kind of like wee. There you go. When I get excited, Debbie, it doesn't go down. Okay, fine. And this arm, and then he is in really, really nice condition.
You know, David, it's 12 o'clock.
I know it's 12 o'clock, and we have more to do. I know this. I keep tabs on the time of the program. So, but this is, what is more important? My show or getting a new potato? Albeit one with somewhat unsymmetrical, not only non-symmetrical eyes, but his eyes and nose are just a bit off from the mouth. Yeah. You can kind of see that his mouth is this way. Oh, thank you. Feeding time. Are you ready, potato? What's that? Oh, you'll like it. Is this mother's milk? It's better. Look, potato, it's tomato ketchup made from the Swiss. Woo! I'll try it. Maybe be good. That's interesting. Let me have another taste.
Oh no! This is the addiction part. This is the withdrawal.
It's got a bit of a kick, but it's sort of sweet, sort of savory. It's all right. Now let me have a little more.
Oh, David.
No. All right. All right, potato.
Oh, Lord.
More! Okay, here you go. Potato, brand new Potato. We're going to call him Potato. In the household. So even though my week had kind of a cruddy ending, definitely things getting better. Doing this show for you, our 811th...
You love your show. Cuckoo Pants, David. You love it.
I love doing the show, so that has made things so much better. And we still have a bit more to do. We've done Inside Broadway. We're finished with that. We'll do a little bit of Greeley Crimes and Old Times, and then we have our Colorado Limerick of the Damned to get through. So now, Greeley Crimes and Old Times, this is a segment, oh God darn it, these things. I keep putting them in places that I shouldn't be putting them.
What? What's wrong?
Yeah, they get stuck to all the wrong things here.
Okay.
So,
No worries.
here's the deal. Behold, the Greeley Tribune newspaper. Ta-da!
Throw me the bell, Bubba.
Oh, yes, of course.
Just throw it right there.
Wait, it's always happy to have a clapper for the show. Yeah, okay, that's a bell joke.
Thank you.
Anywho, Greeley Crimes and Old Times. So there's two columns.
You know what I say to that, David?
What?
Ding dong.
Ding dong, baby.
Ding.
Two columns in the Greeley Tribune. One is, and they're both based on absolutely real things. One is when people are in their neighborhoods and they notice something weird going on and they want the police involved, so they call the local police dispatch, whether they should or not. That's public record. The newspaper gets the information, and they take the funniest ones, they put them in the Tribune once a week. Plus, they have a guy there, our friend Mike Peters.
Is he still doing it?
Yeah, he is still the guy. Yeah.
He was such a nice man. He came in the studio. He was so lovely.
Yeah, when we were in Colorado, and doing the show on UNC Radio. Mike Peters came by. We had a wonderful chat with him.
He was just such a... And he wrote a book, and remember he said he got something wrong. I thought it was so humbling. And he's like, I put an addendum, and he fixed it in the book about some really horrible case of some body in a field or something.
Well, he's a journalist.
I know.
A journalist who will want to set the record
truth.
straight.
I really admired him as a person. He left a really strong impact.
But what Mike Peters does, I think he still writes a fun column for the Tribune called The Gnarly Trombone, because it's based on what they used to, when people misheard the name of the Greeley Tribune.
They couldn't read the writing.
Yeah, so it looked like...
the writing was like penmanship, was poor penmanship.
Well, it didn't look like, they didn't have this font and typeface back then. So, Gnarly Trombone, but he also goes through the newspapers 100 years ago to find the goofiest, funniest, weirdest things that were in the paper in northern Colorado for a column called 100 Years Ago. We look at those, we read them every week, and we share the best ones with you on this segment that we want to call Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Greeley Crimes and Old Times. We do it every Saturday here on Dave's Gone By. Basically, it's the Tribune does the heavy lifting. All I gotta do is share them with you. So, ladies and gentlemen, a caller on 12th Avenue. Oh, I don't have my telephone. It's somewhere. What happened? Where's the phone? Oh, here it is. Okay, I got it. I'm getting it. Okay. What? Hello? Yes, a caller on 12th Avenue reported a raccoon was not acting right and stumbling around a tree.
Uh-oh.
At least it wasn't driving. But,
Drunk.
So, yeah, but, do you call the police about a rabbit?
I think but shouldn't you call what do you call those people? Animal control. Right?
Yeah, health and right, exactly, or wildlife something. Like, didn't you just show me that thing? Where was that about the squirrel?
Oh, we talked about the squirrel. He was in Bed. Oh, it was in Brooklyn.
Oh, it was Brooklyn,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he went crazy, and he was like just
Wow.
He scratched or bit 5 people, and then I think but I don't know if he was rabid. My mother got raped. Like, she didn't have rabies, but she was bit by a patient's dog, some kind of like, not a shepherd, but some animal like that. And she had to go for tetanus, and I don't know if she got the injections, but they held the pet, and he was fine. He
so she didn't need to,
the waiting period.
No, because I think when our friend was scratched and possibly bitten by a squirrel,
I think
she had to get a shot? Yeah. Anywho, wow. So watch out for those squirrels. Now, we know that the vortex, the Bermuda Triangle of Greeley, Colorado is 8th and 8th. The junction of 8th Avenue and 8th Street. We even have an alert about that. But this is not an 8th and 8th alert.
Oh, good.
This is, especially considering yesterday was Friday the 13th, this is a 13th and 13th story. 13th Street and 13th Avenue in Greeley, Colorado. This happened about a week or so ago. A woman there reported a trail of blood from the road to the sidewalk by her house.
Human blood?
It doesn't say. That's the unfortunate thing. They never follow these up. Just a trail of blood from the road to the sidewalk by her house. I was thought Wizard of Oz would have been a better film. It was like, follow the red blood road. Follow.
That would be like a parody. What do you call it? Like a horror film.
Yeah, right. Hey, Dorothy, let's follow the trail of blood. Okay, Tin Man. Yeah. You know that were just the Cowardly Lion just got too close to Tin Man, got cut by one of his sides. And then, I don't know where I'm going with that at all. A man on 29th Street called to report a hotel cleaner who put a cap from the toilet on the sink next to his toiletries. And he called the police to say this. That
I hope they're using the non-emergency number. That would be my hope.
But here's the thing. What is wrong with that? I mean, the whole thing is that they're called toiletries. Get it? I'm just flushed with success over that line. If you can handle it.
Mr. Dave Body.
Oh my God, honey. I need some noise here.
Do you need a chicken?
Wait. This is actually, I even have a thing here. We have. Yes. Okay. It is time for a Lupton alert.
Lupton. Alert.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lupton alert. All the Fort Lupton alert is a story that has to do with Fort Lupton, Colorado. And me with my love of words and funny weird words or weird sounding words, something about the name Lupton I just love. It gives you like a law. I love Lupton.
Here, you woke up chicken.
Yeah. I mean, when I read about Fort Lupton, I fall in lup. That's right, chicken. It's not a chicken alert, it's a Fort Lupton alert. Fort Lupton is in northern Colorado, so they do stories about that as well as Greeley. This is a Fort Lupton. Oh, say it with me. Lupton. Alert. The Colorado Traffic Rangers filed several traffic complaints with the courts, included, and by the way, this is from 100 years ago, 1921. 3 men were cited for not dimming their auto lights when passing other autos. One man was fined $15 for allowing his son, who was under 15 years old, to drive his auto. 2 other men were arrested for horse theft. They stole 4 horses from a ranch. Where?
Fort Lupton.
Fort Lupton! Lupton. Uzma. Okay. Moving on, we have another old-time thing from 1921. Two Greeley men fishing along the Poudre River 11 years ago. There was a can of corn that they left beside the road. Just that street, they went fishing again. They found the can of corn again and brought it to the office of the Greeley Tribune. The Tribune people found that the can was old and rusty, but the corn inside was sweet and clean.
And the botulism was yummy and tasty.
Wasn't there a thing where someone saved like a McDonald's burger for 25 years and it kept its like shape and decent smell?
Said that sometimes they say like processed food with additives.
Yeah.
That it stays okay. Like Twinkies too. They say the Twinkies.
Right.
I think they
it'll last for years and years. I believe it.
Yeah.
Well, I used to. I hate it when people throw away canned food. I'm like, what is the point of canned food? As long as it's not swollen or dented in a weird way, and there isn't lichen growing on the side of the can, it's canned food. You know, you can have it when you're 70. I don't know.
Put it in bomb shelters.
Right? Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Anywho, a wagon driver for a local lumber company.
David, apparently there's a street brawl between Leah Michelle and the Beanie Philistine.
A street brawl?
No, they're saying on the
about
Facebook
Funny Girl.
That they're saying that how does she feel, Leah, when she's not, like.
I think she was the one. Leah Michelle, she was essentially campaigning a few years ago to play Fanny Bryce and Funny Girl. No, I think that she even did the number to open the Tony Awards.
Oh my God!
Like "Don't Rain on My Parade" or something, and
that's what happened.
Yeah, and they gave it to Beanie instead.
Yeah, the
Beanmeister. Well, at least she's like a has-been. Knock. Anywho, I know that joke was half-baked. A wagon driver for a local lumber company was fined $5 and court costs for beating a horse.
Oh, like the girl at the Olympics.
And they punched the horse? Yeah, right.
Now I think the one from...
oh, what?
The one from... What's that nerdy show? Sheldon.
Oh, Big Bang. Big Bang Theory.
The girl from Big Bang, the blonde girl, wants to buy the horse. Like, Pink sponsored the team that wore the pants. Now the girl, that Kelly, whatever, she wants to buy the.
She wants to buy the horse. Okay, she can do whatever the hell she wants to. Anyway, the guy was delivering lumber when the horse slowed down, so he started beating it. Although the horse was not seriously injured. I mean, seriously. And then that guy from the Olympics was fired for smacking the horse. He was disqualified or thrown out of the Olympics. I mean, treat your horses well, or else our New Year's guest, Brian Gary, will come after you. So, a lot of in-jokes on this episode of the show. Let's do an elsewhere story. So yes, this is Greeley Crimes and Old Times. All the things are from Colorado, except we do one or two stories that come from elsewhere. They're just odd stories in the news. This is an only in Miami story. Only in Miami, and it comes from the Miami Herald. A police spokesman told the Herald, only in Miami story, you can't make this up. A Florida man stole candles from a mall store, and in doing so sprayed dozens of patrons with bear mace repellent before escaping. What?
That is bad.
So he's stealing. The man's not stealing from a bank. He's not stealing he's stealing like scented.
I think
freaking.
He needed to just meditate and relax. Maybe that's why he needed those candles.
Yeah. The theft happened Saturday afternoon at a Bath and Body Works store in a suburban mall. The unidentified suspect entered the store, filled a bag with candles, and then started spraying people with mace. A portion of the mall was closed as 35 people were taken to the hospital. No, I'm serious, but still, bear mace. Because mace is one thing, but to slow down a 500-pound bear or however much they weigh.
But that's horrible.
Yes.
Did they catch the man? We don't know.
No, unidentified. I guess not. Wow. That is not a scent that bear me. Because I know just before he died, B.J. Thomas had a line of candles. And Walking in the Rain candle, and Gentle Lavender Vanilla. Bear Mace Sunset. Maybe for a yard site candle that would work. It's like you remember a relative that you didn't like very much, and when you light the candle for him for 24 hours, you just smell bear mace.
Oh, that's crazy.
Oh, anywho. Getting back to some new crime in northern Colorado on Greeley Crimes of Old Times on Dave's Gone By. Caller on 47th Avenue. Oh, sorry. Did the phone just ring? Oh, there it is. Hello. Hello caller, on 47th Avenue reported, a woman in her early 60s.
How do you know age?
Well, you can guessing. Who was not wearing pants, tried to break into the house. I don't know. You got a woman with no pants on, wanting to be in your house, and he's complaining. I don't know. I'm lucky man. Anywho, a caller on 20th Street reported a woman was being irate, and she started, speaking of beavers, she started shaving her private parts in the parking lot.
Come on. No, who's gonna do that?
Look, everybody knows about the Brazil wax.
Yes.
Maybe there's now something like a Fort Evans wax, or, a Boulder wax, where you just go out in public, in the parking lot, you pull them down, and you just go, you think?
The only reason I could see someone doing that is because the light was good. Like, you don't want to do that kind of thing in dim lighting, but that's the only possible. Now,
if you go into a parking lot and you're shaving down there, what kind of car do you drive?
A Volvo.
Volvo! Thank you very, very much. I'm so proud. All right, let's do one more. A caller on 50th Avenue. Hello, caller. Are you on 50th Avenue? I think you would be. Reporting a man and a woman were smoking and putting on gloves. And
how could you do both?
That's a very good question.
That
I guess they
doesn't make
passed
any
the
sense.
back and
That
forth.
doesn't make any sense.
It's like, you put on your gloves while I have a hit. And maybe they thought they'd be Robert. Why else would you put on gloves in the middle of August?
No, but how could you smoke while putting on gloves?
Yeah.
You have a cigarette and you have gloves.
I don't know. It's Greeley Crimes in Old Times. That's how. Yeah. Let me do one more. A caller in the Greeley Mall parking lot reported a woman. Hello. Oh, you're the woman shaving herself? Could you maybe put her pants on or something?
Wait. Hold on 1 second. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Oh, no, not that one.
No. A caller in the Greeley Mall parking lot.
She's shaving.
Oh. Reported a woman threatening to fight mall employees. Yeah, okay. I hope it's not the same woman. I for various reasons. One more. A caller on 9th Street reported an alarm that had been going off for the past week and a half. So this alarm, probably a car alarm, maybe a store alarm, just going off and off and off for the past week. Okay. The caller said a barefoot man wearing cat pajamas.
Wearing what?
Wearing cat pajamas.
I like that.
Started ripping out all the wires to get the alarm to stop.
You know something? Maybe he was sleeping.
Yeah. But the thing's been going on for a week and a half.
Yeah,
He's waited this long. He could put on, like, clothing. He doesn't have to go barefoot in cat pajamas.
That was the final straw.
Yeah, I don't know. I would go barefoot in cat pajamas. I actually would. Because this story is the cat's pajamas. That's Greeley Crimes and Old Times here on Dave's Gone By for Saturday, August 14th, 2021.
Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool. I'm sure that you'll agree with me that Greeley was no fool.
What he is getting at is that Mr. Greeley was no fool.
Yeah.
Yippee-yi, 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 yi-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi.
Ladies and gentlemen, yes, it is 12:30 in the afternoon in the time of the East here on Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling and wonderful wife, Joyce. For more about this program, I'm trying to hold back a sneeze here. Go to our website, davesgoneby.com, davesgoneby.com. That is where you can find out much more about the show. You can listen to every episode we have ever done, and since we've been doing them on video, watch every show that we have ever done. It's all there. It's all free. It is the official website of the program, davesgoneby.com. You can also watch the show and our interviews at archive.org. That is a nonprofit website that just gathers art and entertainment from centuries. And we're very thrilled and proud that we're on there. Archive.org. Dave's Gone By is the channel. Plus, if you just want to hear the audio of the show, go to castbox.fm. This is where it's basically meant for podcasting. So we don't have the video there, but from our first show to last week's, castbox.fm is a place to go. Plus, you can find us on our YouTube channel, Dave's Gone By. And what else? Oh, and as we mentioned, Mondays at 1 a.m., Tuesdays at 4 a.m., excerpts from the show on Channel 20 Altice Cable. So there's all that. There's that. And why would you go back and listen to shows from decades, literally almost 2 decades ago? Because we've had wonderful stuff that we do. The crazy quizzes, the comedy we do, the monologues and rants I go on, Rabbi Saul Solomon's interviews and his rabbinical reflections, the songs we've sung. It's all there. Thousands at this point. Thousands of hours of Dave's Gone By, all for your entertainment. davesgoneby.com. And as important as anything else, the interviews, the delightful, interesting, sometimes funny and ridiculous interviews we've done over the years. And we're proud of all the folks that we have on the show doing these interviews. We keep tabs on them. We like to know what they're up to. So, for example, we've had on this episode three friends of the Daverhood. We had
Vicki Quade.
Steve the Whistler Herbst, who you can watch on his website, stevethewhistler.com. He was just on To Tell the Truth on network television, and find out so much more about him and get his CD and all that stuff, stevethewhistler.com. He's a friend of the Daverhood. It's great to see him doing well. And also you can probably look for him and use him as a psychotherapist if you wanted to. And then there's also Vicki Quade, who is the co-creator of Late Night Catechism, which is coming back to Chicago next month at the Greenhouse Theater. So go to nunsforfun.com, nuns the number 4, nunsforfun.com.
I think that's could be mistaken for some
Well, if you spell it wrong, or N-U-N-Z, I don't know what that would bring you. So you be careful when you spell it, folks. And then, of course, David Sheward, who is a writer for theaterlife.com, culturaldaily.com, and his own blog, The David Desk. All of them friends of the Daverhood. There are also other people who've been on this program all these years. And since they're friends and kind of our family, we let you know what they're up to in our Friends of the Daverhood segment. Oh, yeah. Yeah! Yeah! What? It's DMX singing along to Mozart there. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Friends of the Daverhood. Not a lot to report this week. August is usually pretty quiet. But first of all, we want to say condolences to our friend of the Daverhood, Molly Ringwald. She was on our show back in 2016. Her father, a jazz musician, Bob Ringwald, he passed away on August 3rd. And the news was released this past week. So our best to Molly Ringwald. Want to let you know that this Thursday, Lilias White will be at the Green Room 42 doing Get Yourself Some Happy. That is the name of her new album, her first solo album. Lilias White, the Tony Wayne Broadway star and recent friend of the Daverhood. And I also want to let you know that, what's today? That is today. That's tonight. See her tonight. Right. On Monday, Penny Fuller and Anita Gillette, both of them friends of the Daverhood, they are doing a tandem show at Feinstein's 54 Below. It's called Sin Twisters. Because, Sin Twisters, little spooners in there. Penny Fuller and Anita Gillette, that is happening on Monday night, Feinstein's 54 Below, in person. All these things are in person. Want to remind you that in person at Birdland on Monday, every Monday night, Jim Caruso's cast party. StageBuddy.com, founded by our friend Evan Seplow. DrDemento.com, featuring old and new episodes of the Dr. Demento show. And SoundsOfBroadway.com, if you want to listen to 24/7 of Broadway show tunes. That's founded by our friend Stuart Brown. And finally, Bob Cudmore doing podcasts of upstate New York history at bobcudmore.com. Those, my friends, are the friends of the Daverhood. Billy boo, Billy boo, Billy boo, diddly biddly 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 diddly boo. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a little bit after 12:30 in the afternoon Eastern Time here in the Daverhood. And so we've done, so much on this episode of the show. We talked to Steve the Whistler. He's played the Today Yesterday quiz. We went inside Broadway for some Broadway news. We've gone through Greeley Crabs and Old Times. I ranted a bit about the Delta variant and trying to do theater again in that context. So much fun on this Saturday afternoon that we really pulled from the jaws of defeat. We really pulled from having a whole show planned, 24 hours ago, and having a good chunk of it fall to pieces at the last minute because of an idiot who was supposed to be on the program, bailed and never said why and never said oops, and has yet to even contact me in any way, shape, or form to explain or apologize. So, as the Italians would say, but I'm not bitter.
You're not bitter. It's good you're not bitter.
So we still have room, though. Even though we're half hour overtime, we make room for a little poetry, a little high culture of the lowest form, the Colorado Limerick. See, Joyce and I have spent many, many years living in Colorado, and I got it into my head, and I should never get things into my head, but I got that into my head that I should write a poem about as many places in Colorado as I could possibly think of. Or not really think of it, I actually find them in lists and maps.
You like odd names and oddities.
Well, actually, the odd names are tough. I'd rather have things rhyme with ein or e or, ang, because those are easy to make poems about. It's the odd names that really twist you in half. So I found a name that was kind of in the middle here. San Luis, Colorado. San Luis, Luis. Now, if you were Hispanic or if you were Mexican, you would say San Luis, probably pronounce it like that. But since we're American, and especially flat in the Midwest Colorado, they just say San Luis, like St. Louis. What?
San Luis, baby.
Yeah, San Luis, Colorado. That will be the location of let's see, how bad is, oh God, yeah, this is a bad one. This is when you're going to want to get the kids out of the room, really out of the country for just a minute or two while we do our Colorado Limerick of the Damned.
A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme. And likewise, verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick. Rocky Mountain,
Colorado, indeed, the Colorado Limerick of the Damned. So this week we go to San Luis, Colorado, and it's in far south central Colorado. The whole town is about half a square mile, holds about 600 people living there. It was formed by Hispanic settlers in the early 1850s, so it goes back a ways, and it was eventually named for patron saint San Luis de Culebra. By the 1870s, the town had really grown. It had a blacksmith, a butcher, a beer hall, 2 hotels, a couple of big stores and stuff. It was a happening town. Well, it's still there. There's still people living there, as I said. And every July, they do the Fiesta de Santiago y Santa Ana. It's a big old feast day. Sounds a little more fun than the Stampede, though. Well, the Fiesta de Santiago y Santa Ana. As I'm going to bite my tongue off if I keep doing that. And what's kind of neat is San Luis is the oldest continually inhabited place in Colorado. So from like the 1850s on, they established the town. It never turned into a ghost town. And it's always had people staying there and living and working and shopping and building. San Luis, Colorado. And in honor of that, I have a poem, a Colorado, because Limericks, they're supposed to be a little bit horrible. This one certainly is. I should get Rabbi Saul to do this, but I don't have his accoutrement, so I'll just do this myself. But think
it's already 1 o'clock, honey.
No, it isn't. It's 20 to 2, 20 to 1.
It's 20 to 2.
I've been talking nonstop for 4 hours. Here we go.
How is that different than any other day?
Ho!
Ho!
The Colorado Limerick of the Damned, San Luis. Ahem. And hold the noises until this poem is over. You're going to want to. There is an old shul in San Luis where you'll find a gorgeous young Jewess. Though week after week she's prudish and meek, she fucks like a dog on Shavuos. Thank you. Thank you. So please send your comments or your complaints especially to davesgoneby@aol.com. davesgoneby@aol.com. Remember to put the E in there. It's Dave's like my name, but no apostrophe. davesgoneby@aol.com. Plus, you can check my Twitter feed, Radio Dave 2. It's Radio Dave, the number 2. And what else? And a Facebook page, of course, is Dave's Gone By. What else do I want to mention? Oh, and then, by the way, don't forget to please check out my other website, davelefkowitz.org, and actually .com. I always do the .org, I don't know why. But it's davelefkowitz.org to read my work. The davesgoneby.com is all about the radio show. And it's all about the audio and the video and all that. But if you want to read my plays, if you want to read my many years of work as a theater critic and a theater journalist, if you want to read my song lyrics and poems like this, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to want to go to davelefkowitz.org. I've got more than 900 pieces up there because it's just been this real project of mine. Because, what legacy am I going to leave? If there's going to be no theater or no theater that I want to do, if I'm not going to have kids, if I'm not going to have a pet gerbil that I can pass on my stories to, what have I got? I got the stuff I've written, and I'm continuing to write, and sharing that however I can, getting that on the web. davelefkowitz.org. Please do give it a look, especially if you are a theater company, if you are a Zoom producer, and you need a play, a long play, a short play, you're looking for something funny or interesting or enraging, check out my plays. Check out my work, and maybe you'll want to bring it to a bigger audience and a bigger place. And I say that also about this show. If you watch and listen to this program every week, and you think, well, I love it, I put on Dave's Gone By, I watch part of it on Facebook, I watch the rest when I go on the website later in the week, tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell everybody, and maybe at some point I will finally get on major media or minor media or, two tin cans strung together. One in California, one in New York. I holler into one, and somebody's paying for it, for me to holler out of the other. Either way, just tell people about the show. Dave's Gone By, that we're here every Saturday from 9 until noon or thereabouts. And right here on this Facebook page. And of course, once the show's over, within 24 hours, we try and get it up on our archive, davesgoneby.com. So even if you don't have Facebook, if your friends say, well, I can't see the show, I can't watch it, I don't get Facebook, I don't want to deal with them, it's fine. Wait a day. The archives are all over the place, but particularly at davesgoneby.com. Well, my friends, this has been the Not Anyone Can Whistle episode of Dave's Gone By, dedicated certainly to our Steve the Whistler Herbst, friend of the Daverhood, who really stepped in really at the last minute to help save the show. Hon, you have any thoughts for the week? Any hopes, any dreams, any stories to tell?
No, I'm happy just to be here.
I think we're good. I think my mouth is literally dry. My throat is sore.
And you could eat the Hawaii 5-0, or you could have a Fonzie.
I was just thinking of that. Yeah.
Your hamburger.
Yeah, I don't
like
know.
the ribs; it's too juicy.
Well, I might ask them to ease off on the sauce a little bit.
Put some sauce on this, a little bit of sauce on the side.
I'm thinking about Joyce is always, by the time noon rolls around, it's like Joyce is like
I'm
lunch,
always
lunch,
hungry,
yeah.
You know that. That's
Yeah.
my operating principle.
And we always go to the same place on Saturdays because they make really good food, and and it's comfort-ish, Italian-ish, but bistro, pub food, real kind of local stuff, and we like it. So yeah, and I've ruled my things down generally to 3 things. It used to be 2, and now it's 3. There was the burger, and they do tons of burgers, and they're very juicy and very big, very good, with funny, Italianate names. And my favorite is the Fonzie. And then there's also...
Yeah, the Fonzie was played by a Jewish man.
Of course, Henry Winkler. And then there's the one that they do with roast beef that I've grown to like a lot, and then they do another one that I just found out where it's rib meat. In a sandwich. They call it 5-0. Yeah, well, spare rib meat, not cow rib meat. And so it's like now I've got a choice of 3 that I'm really happy with. So what shall Dave get? Maybe I'll have you guys vote on that next week. Like next week at the end of the show,
You could do a poll on Zoom and launch it for your guests.
And whatever you say, that's what I will order for that Saturday afternoon. Is it the Fonzie, the 5-0, or the roast beef thing? I forget the name of it. And then you guys decide, and I have to eat what you choose. Yeah, this is the lowest form of entertainment, ladies and gentlemen. Dave's Gone By. We expect to be back next Saturday, August 21st, 2021, for the 812th episode of the program, and we're pretty sure we're about 90%. No, but if we do have this person, it's going to be great because she is a former film critic for a couple of major dailies.
Oh, I know who she is.
Really?
It's a name I can't pronounce, right?
No. Who are you thinking of? Anyway, she is a former film critic, and now she helps edit books, and she does a lot of coaching for writers and things like that. Would love to talk to her. She seems like she's going to be absolutely great. I'm not going to say her name because I don't want to jinx it, especially after this week. But definitely check this Facebook page, check davesgoneby.com for information, and we'll keep you posted on what's going to be on our show next week and the weeks ahead. But really the best way is to tune in Saturdays, 9 a.m. for this program, Dave's Gone By.
Dave's gone by.